Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome back, day 3 of Amplified. Good to have you. I am here with Romain and William, and today we're talking about humankind. If you don't know what Amplified is, just before we get into the conversation, Amplified is our 10th anniversary as a studio. So happy birthday, Amplified.
Yay!
Yes. So we're celebrating that. A couple days ago, we had the Amplitude Day, where we talked more about the studio. Yesterday was Endless Day, where we talked about the Endless Universe and a lot about Endless Dungeon. So you can go check both of those out as VODs on our channel if you missed them. But today is all about humankind. We're starting with a chat with these guys. We're, after that, going to have Ryan on, who is a producer on the game, and we're going to talk a little bit about modding in the game. And then after that, we're going to be playing a little bit of Humankind, the Lucy Open Dev build still, and we're going to have Twitch drops enabled. So if you missed those the first time around, don't worry, you got another chance to get them. More near the end of this portion of the stream, we're going to have a community questions portion. So if you have any questions about Humankind at all during the stream, just toss them in the chat. We have Cat of Nine Tails, Stephanie, and Bo, both community managers, watching the chat. So they'll be gathering your questions and then shooting them over to me so that I can ask these guys. So, but I think that's pretty much it. William, Romain, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. William, I'll let you introduce yourself first because I don't think I can do you justice.
Oh, Vladimir. So yes, I am William Dice. I am the lead game designer on Humankind, and I actually have the honor of being the very first person, obviously aside from Roman, to have started working on the project. So first boots on the soil, so to speak.
Very nice.
Yeah, and here to bring it to release.
Yes. Yeah. And Romain?
So hi, I'm Romain. I'm the head of the studio and the chief creative officer. Obviously, my background is definitely more on the creative side. So it is kind of odd to sometimes have to be responsible, for the studio, and yet try to be irresponsible for designing the games. So thank God, some people are here to help me out, trying to tell me which hat to wear. William being one of them, to remind me to be responsible like often enough. And yeah, we started working on it over 4 years ago, actually. 4 years ago, exactly 4 years ago, yeah. With William. And I remember when we were still facing, the whiteboard and trying to see what we wanted to achieve. Having a starting point, which was Endless Legends, and to go from there to history.
When you start these things, does it actually just start with a blank whiteboard and you just go, all right?
Yeah.
So
no, actually, it's something we kind of discussed already, a few times. But when we created Amplitude, we had that overall idea of okay, we want to make a historical 4X. But not ready yet. There are a few concepts, we'd love to see in a 4X, and these concepts are kind of the basic concepts that we saw in Endless Legend, the way we treat terrain with altitudes and technical battles and blah, 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 quite a few other stuff. And the other big one was okay, we want to see. To see your culture evolve over time as we saw in the real history, and that was the only thing that we thought, and nothing else. So when we started, it was a whiteboard with kind of that in mind,
Right.
and that's it. But yes, from there, yeah.
So you just start with those basic building blocks, like those main ideas,
Yes.
and then you kind of branch out from
And
there. Yeah.
We had we sort of ended up defining, I guess, more high-level experiential pillars. So what are the important things, like leaving your mark on the world, the historical sandbox, and we kind of arrived at that just by in front of the whiteboard, talking, noting things, and then sort of circling that seems to be coming up quite often.
Right.
Maybe that is something that is kind of a primary central concern. And then I pitched various iterations, and Roman, we went back and forth until we kind of had those pillars you know, that were important, obviously within the bounds of, you know, making a historical 4X game, and then sort of gradually moved down from there to more and more specific, you know, features, mechanics.
Does it kind of like start to snowball when you start getting those creative ideas down on the board and you go, okay, what about this and what about this? Like, does it get easier as new ideas come in, or harder?
I would say easier. At the very beginning, you kind of have, you can go in absolutely any direction possible. So you're sort of, you know, that as you gradually define sort of the direction that you want to go in, it's much easier to propose things that go in the right direction.
Right.
You know? But there are some magical moments at the very beginning when you do start to go, you know, as I said, hang on, you know, we've talked about this several times. I feel like this is an important point, you know. So yeah, the what we call the conception, it's a very interesting part of the project. Can be frustrating as well sometimes, but interesting, you know.
For sure. But then you got to execute.
Yes, very different, very different part of the project.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
I think what's interesting in that section is everything is possible. So you know, you have
Yeah.
all, and you can get lost in all these possibilities as well. That's why, you know, we try to. We don't want to hear. I think it's a moment where we never want to hear no, it's not possible. So that's why we definitely are responsible at the time, and we look at everything. But it's all about what do you want to leave, so as to experience as a player.
Yes.
So we try to and often, and you know, it's all about, you know, having fun. It's not you know, we're not trying to simulate, you know, history, but at the same time, you know, if it makes sense in historical terms for that game, because history basically was one of the basic pillars. Like, you know, okay, we do strategy game, it's historical. That's more or less it, basically, and you know, okay, it goes through the whole span of our history, so that's maybe another one part of history, basically, and then, you know, it should, but it's always about, okay, what do I want to experience, and how we while making it fun, can we bring that to the players?
And the importance of that kind of very tactile aspect as well, that kind of, you know, the board game feel where you have these beautiful playing pieces that you can pick up and put down, you know. And that was always very, very, very important, and, you know, as well making it quite accessible, because it's not the genre that is the most easy to get into, you know, and we feel that it's great fun, it's immense fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we want to be able to say to people, hey, this is really cool, come and play on our lawn, so to speak. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big part of it also.
For sure. So how is Humankind going? I mean, I guess we're getting closer and closer to release every day. Are you guys getting excited, or?
Yes, I think one of the chances that we have is that you know, we have players playing the game, a lot of players playing the game, you know, with the open devs, and it's easy through that to know where you stand. You know, it's so it's exciting, also because we are excited to see, you know, the what our players are saying at the time. So it's huge. It's a huge moral boost. So morale boost. I'm doing always the same mistake. I'm sorry about that. And so it's really amazing. And that's, you know, it's when well, obviously I've been working on it for 4 years, so, you know, you could be a bit tired at times, but that's great to see, you know, that energy that, you know, helps us, you know, to go to the finish line, and actually so it is extremely exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. And as we were saying earlier, you know, we started properly working on it 4 years ago, but you know, it was pitched a little bit before then, and I started essentially showing things to Roman when I was still on Endless Legend, kind of as a way of saying, hey Roman, I really want to work on this new project. Here's something that I've done in my own time that I think is really cool.
Nice.
So there were a couple of meetings, you know, while we were still finishing with Legend. That obviously didn't start until Tempest actually came out, because that was quite a big one as well. Right.
Yeah, for sure. So it was. We were talking about this just before the stream, but it was 4 years ago. But some of the core concepts were kind of like a long time
Yeah, a long
ago.
time ago.
Yeah. So that was that kind of around the time that Amplitude was founded? Or?
Yeah, basically that's why some of these concepts actually were brought to Endless Legend, and after Endless Space, so you know we were extremely hyped. You know, we're extremely happy by what we achieved. Happy, you know, with the games together and having that relationship, you know, with all these amazing players that were real experts in the genre of games we're making. But yet we didn't feel ready to tackle, you know, a historical 4X game at the time, and that's why we wanted to explore and experiment this in a fantasy universe, and at the same time we wanted to expand on the Endless universe. So we had this opportunity. So I think in a way, you know, and it's often probably the way we designed. We kind of go like bottom up with kind of, as you were saying, like some tactical stuff, some prototypes of things you want to try, whether it's for the battles and a lot of things that we've done, you know, on Humankind, on the terrain, you know, some of the stuff that we did with, you know, on Endless Legend, which is definitely, you know, you start more or less by trying things out in the engine, in another engine, and then, you know, at the same time you have these big ideas, what you want to feel as a player, and you try, you know, to meet in the middle, somewhere between the two.
Yeah, we're not fully top down and we're not fully bottom up. For those of you who know that kind of metaphor, yeah, it's interesting to come back to your original question about how the development's going. You know, at the beginning, as we said, you know, it's quite a whiteboard free form. You're not sure exactly where you're going. You don't want to say no to anything. And then, you know, as you kind of gradually progress towards the end of the project, you know, you start off with sort of, you don't know what you want to do, but you have time. And then at the end, you sort of, you kind of know very clearly what you want to do, but you don't have as much time as you'd like. So you're just trying to do as much stuff as you can to polish the gem as much as you can before you can, you know.
Totally.
So that's what we're in at the moment. It's
how do the open devs help with that process?
Immensely.
Yeah.
Immensely. I mean, it's fantastic because you have a huge amount of focus at a specific time on a specific subject. It's been a really interesting, I guess, in French you would say discipline, an exercise for us to have to come up with a questionnaire, you know, the questions that we ask people, because to write good questions, you really need to know, okay, what exactly are we testing? What do we want to know?
Right.
And that really focuses everyone on, okay, you know, what is it that we're doing in this particular open dev? What data are we collecting? And then, you know, how do we fix things or change things or keep them the same, potentially, in response to the responses we get back.
Yeah.
Excuse me, my elephants are trying to escape. Those of you who question my belonging to the elephant Illuminati.
Yes, elephant themed.
Yeah.
So for the open dev, this one especially, did you hear what you were expecting to hear, or like did you get what you were looking for after this one? Because the coming up with the questions, I could definitely see how, you know, you do want specific information on specific parts of the game, but is that what happened?
Yeah, there were some questions that we had where we sort of, we don't feel confident about the way the settlers are working, so we asked questions like, are people using settlers, or do people find them useful? Right. And we kind of got the answers we expected, so okay, yes.
Okay.
And then there were for other things where we vastly improved the battle in terms of, you know, the fluidity of animations and things like that, and we just wanted to kind of check back, okay, is that, you know, are people appreciating the things that we've done? And that was a resounding yes. And generally speaking, you know, it's been very positive. No huge negative surprises. So I guess that's reassuring in a certain sense.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, Roman, if you want to...
Yes, no, actually, I think, well, you know, a lot of players complain about the pacing, for example, of it. When I say a lot, and it's all been very nice, but yet, you know, they wanted to see improvements on the pacing. And I think we're totally on the same page, but I think we needed to hear it some more from them.
Yeah,
So
totally.
to remind us, okay, it is important. We have to tackle it now.
It's nice to hear it directly from the people that are going to be playing.
And even if somewhere in your mind you know it, but maybe it's not your top priority because you have so many things you want to improve.
Yeah, there's a tendency sometimes for us to be very kind of conservative and just kind of a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and then when you see on Reddit someone who's covered the entire map in districts and is producing a million science, a million industry per turn, you kind of go, okay, I think we can get away with like doubling stuff and halving things.
That's it.
Right.
No, it is really hard to balance because the game is huge.
Yeah.
So obviously, we can see who abuses what and how, and that's it's invaluable. I think if we only discovered that after shipping the game, would have been really bad for the game. So it's great to discover that now. We have plenty of time to improve that. But anyway, so we did a huge pass on balance. After looking at many replays from our players. So
and you got videos. You got Twitch streams. You got all of these different ways. You can see people. It's amazing technology today. You can see people's faces reacting in real time. There was a time when you needed, to have the specially inbuilt laboratory, where you would take people and you would film their faces and you would review them.
Right.
Now with Twitch, you got that out of the bat, and
it's right there for you.
Yeah, there's so much to analyze, and we've already done a huge amount. So obviously we want people breaking the game now. We want them. We want those. We don't want people to use the kid gloves in the open devs. We want them to be.
Yeah, they definitely weren't.
Yeah, I noticed.
Are the open devs a little bit scary for you guys? Whenever you put it out there and go, play.
Well, I mean, normally we feel confident enough that if we don't have fun playing it, I think we are not releasing it. So it's. And the more we go, the more the more we feel confident. So because from the first one it was really good feedback, but now it's really good. But always been positive and better on top of that. So it's and if the next one is not, and although we would have probably felt it was good, it would be very interesting to know. And saying the next one, I don't know if there will be a next one, but if there is a next one, that's good to know anyway. It's so to ensure that the final game when it ships has all that feedback in. But it is not very scary in that sense that normally as it is in continuity. If we have fun. It's hard to really get it wrong. So
totally. When you, if you get contradicting feedback, which I'm sure is probably a thing when you have the amount of feedback that we're getting, is it just a gut thing? You kind of play it by ear and try and see.
Well, it's sometimes so you get two feedbacks. One say white, another says black. In that case, you try to think, okay, what do I think?
Right.
And you go back to your team. You read the arguments, both arguments, and basically then you could be the judge, of that. And this is how that works. But also it's interesting to see when you have these conflicting arguments, it's rarely the whole community being 50-50, so sometimes it could be overwhelming on one side, sometimes it's not. Sometimes also it could be we had a case of that which was very interesting. It was the Battles of Endless Space 1. 50% of the community loved it, 50% hated it. So it was a tough call to say, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to go for this one or that one? So in that case, we try to look at what was our overarching objective with the game, and so we went. So 50% wanted to see full tactical battles in space. The other 50% loved that kind of sense of space opera. That was our original vision. So maybe it was also easier for us to side with them.
Right.
And also, I think a lot of people who wanted to see, so half of the players who wanted to see more tactical battles. I mean, they had a good point, but it would have been a different game.
Right.
We wanted to have a game focusing on, on the empire building, not on the battles.
Right.
And that's when, again, we always go back to the pillars of the game that we're building, this initial vision, and how are we servicing, that vision, and that's how we took the sense. But yet, we understood, from game to game, how can we keep, that feeling of, being, managing an empire, and yet, bringing a bit more tactics, not bogging down the players in the technical battles. So.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about a lot of feedback that you tend to get when people start really enjoying the game is that they tend to say, we want tactical battles, for instance. So they'll suggest a feature or they'll suggest a change. And this kind of goes back to Crawford, saying, well, don't just immediately apply what people suggest, but try and roll back to the root cause of, why are they suggesting that? And it's kind of thing you have to do with yourself as well, because you're sort of going, I think it would be really cool if we have that, and you go, hang on. Why do I think that? Let's roll back a little bit. We talk a lot about rationales, something that Roman is always very, what's the rationale? Why are we doing this? And those can then be confronted with the pillars and say, okay, you want to do this because you feel that you want something more tactical with more kind of microcontrol. That's why you're suggesting tactical battles. That's the kind of step 0 before the step 1.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about those rationales when we start discussing those rather than the features that derive from them. Then you can have a proper discussion,
Yeah.
and say, well, look, ultimately this is just not in keeping with the aesthetic of the game. Humankind, for instance, we've talked about it being quite, we want it to be clear and kind of more like a board game than, obviously it's a spectrum, but more like a board game than a accurate simulation, of
Right.
how a city works, and again, we're not necessarily completely in one or the other, but when you know that that's what you want to do, you can kind of talk to people and try and pass the feedback in that sense.
Yeah, totally. I think the question why is like one of the most important in any creative process.
Yeah.
So, what are your favorite features of the game right now? Like anything you're particularly proud of, or like?
I think when I look at some of our original goals that we had, I think I'm pretty proud of what we achieved, with them. So like the combining of cultures, I think is great, and so well, I'm not going to answer with that with any new things that people haven't seen, because basically I think the things we're happiest with are at the core of the game. But that is one of them. I mean, whether the region system, the battle system. I think all of that is great. I love so it's kind of nearly a visual feature, but I love the terrain. I mean, I haven't been looking at it for so long, and yet I'm never sick of it. Just
it's always so nice.
right away. When the music starts, you look at the world and you get sucked in right away, and you forget that you're working when you play the game. Actually, just playing the game,
which is a problem sometimes.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah. The one more turn is actually a disadvantage. I really love the battles too. We built this little HTML prototype that we could play kind of on the local area network against each other. So you could just had a little server, and you could just in your web browser connect and play a game against anyone else who was on there. And we prototyped the battle system like that, and had people playing it super early in development.
Wow.
And in terms of actual game rules, what's actually been implemented is very similar to that little prototype. So that's, in terms of process, that's something that really was super successful. Yeah. And I'd say diplomacy as well. It's my baby. I'm very happy with how diplomacy is, and this is something we didn't prototype as much, but I'm still really happy, and I'm looking forward to a few tweaks here and there in terms of user interface, and still a way to go, but I really like how it's.
I mean, the concept was very well received actually by the players. On the open devs.
Yeah, people really liked it.
I think the game as a whole, everything is great.
Whole thing.
No, but we took some risk with the diplomacy, and I'm happy that and the UI was not perfect, on the open dev. So I totally, we got a lot of feedback on how to improve the diplomacy UI. But each time it always went with the fact that they loved the concepts, and so it was we're happy because sometimes bad UI can hide a good concept. So despite the issues that we had on the UI side, people still love the concept. So I'm pretty happy.
And for those of you who are kind of fans of obscure indie pen and paper role-playing games, there's inspiration from Burning Wheel and Monster Hearts 2, and all these kind of in terms of how the system of kind of negotiation works.
Yeah.
So we really did some weird stuff with diplomacy, and I thank the more rational side of Roman's brain for letting me be a bit insane with these propositions, occasionally kind of reeling me back in and saying, we riffed on it a lot, we iterated on it a lot. It's been great fun.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay, when you guys create avatars in games, do you try and create yourself? Or do you try and create a version of yourself that's I don't know, huge? Or
you have to mislead, your opponents.
For instance, whenever I create a character in any game, I give myself a magnificent mustache because I can't do that in real life, and it just makes me sad.
Yeah, I feel like why go for normal facial hair when you can go for magnificent facial hair?
Exactly.
And be kind of I mean, my character in Humankind currently is kind of a bright red hair, huge facial scarring, really kind of evil angular features and kind of like an evil personality.
Nice.
Because when I play 4X games, I kind of have that sort of, I think all the maniacal evil parts of my personality tend to get expressed.
Oh yeah.
So but there's enough good in me that I kind of want people to know that that's what they're up against. So
you just give them a bit of a signal.
I will. Well, I can't wait to show you sort of post a screen capture of my avatar.
Yeah. We got to share some of those as we get closer
definitely.
to the release, because that'll be awesome.
There are some really great ones on the team, actually.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Can't wait to see them.
When you meet a new culture and you're sort of, okay, you're the leader of the Huns. Interesting.
Gotcha. Yeah. So right now, what is the main focus right now? Is it just a whole bunch of things, or is there one thing you're trying to get right, or?
Well, it's. We could say the main focus is finishing the game, so obviously,
exactly.
But that's too obvious as an answer. No, we have a lot of things. Optimization is a big topic at the moment, especially because the game was totally out of balance. So you could create an infinite amount of armies and cities and districts, and our programmers went, help us out. So that is one, just to make sure it's all under control, but it loops in pretty well with the game design, so it's fine. But we definitely have some of that, especially the for the late game. Late game in terms of of fun and pacing and catching up mechanics. All that is very interesting. And then a lot of elements on the more core. So again, looping back in the balance of the game, it's tricky because you change the food production on one side, and then you suddenly have so many population, then suddenly everything becomes cheaper, so you need to raise the cost, just that it's always the butterfly effect, and
the paint bubble that you're trying to squash and it just keeps moving. No, come back. Now no one wants to build districts anymore.
So definitely a lot of that at the moment.
Balancing is a huge one.
UI accessibility,
balancing. We talked about the diplomacy as well, though. A lot of the diplomacy is, user experience accessibility.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Again, polishing it all up to a fine sheen.
Yes.
And it's a very exciting, frenetic period. Lots to do, but again, as I said, we know what we want to do. We know where we want to go. So it's just a matter of
getting to the finish line.
Exactly.
Yeah. And finally, which factions do you guys like to play now? I know last time you were on, you said Carthage.
Yes.
Roma?
Yeah, because at the time you could spam the ports.
Yes,
So you
yes.
can't do that anymore.
Has it changed?
Yes.
Yeah, the factions that I enjoy, I tend to nerf. So then I no longer enjoy this.
Well, when we look at you playing them, obviously we understand that we need to nerf them.
Well, Roman, I feel like I'm hogging the thing.
On my side, for me, I love to play science. So when I start the game, I love to play with the zoo, to have the Confucian schools. But then I have some random ones I do love, like the Celts. I love the Nimitan. So we probably may nerf that a bit. I don't know.
We did nerf it. It can always be nerfed more. I quite like the Goths in classical. I feel like their district is currently a little underpowered, but they do have cavalry that are fairly easy to get hold of. I quite like starting Olmec because the heads are quite strong, but maybe they're too strong, so we need to nerf them. And then
Just nerf anything you like.
Well, yeah.
Only the one he plays.
Well, the thing is that you kind of want the factions to be a little bit broken. Like this is what you're always saying, Roman.
Yeah.
You want the all to be broken equally, so that the end result is that you necessarily have a broken thing. So but it's an interesting. You still have to toe that line a little bit because they can combine in different ways with ideologies and traits and civics and so on. There are things where you have to go, okay, plus X% per alliance. That's a bit dangerous. Vikings, great as well.
Okay, yeah.
Because getting those ships out before anyone else, being the first to conquer the
feels very good.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some community questions,
Okay.
shall we? I'll open this. All right. Yeah, as I told these guys before the stream, I'm not just texting everybody. I'm just.
I was so
looking at
tempted to make a comment like, "Oh my god, how unprofessional." Yeah.
Okay, where does it start here? Got it. All right. One from YouTube, from Marth Therese Muller. I'm very sorry if I screwed that up. Why not the industrial era in the OpenDev?
Well, maybe later.
Maybe later.
Yeah, I mean the goal is to be focused, and get feedback on a specific part of the game, And there's new stuff that arrives in the industrial era.
We try to go step by step with each, open devs. Again, as you're saying, to focus on one part at a time. So, it would have been a bit too much for us to handle your feedback. So one thing at a time.
Yeah. And we don't want to spoil everything.
No, you gotta, Are you not entertained? The Lucy OpenDev had a lot of stuff in it.
Can you talk about? I know you guys have touched on some of the changes that you guys are considering for the OpenDev, but can you talk a little bit further about any of the changes that you think are you're testing out right now and. Making it?
Sure, I have my list that I let me see, because we were talking about this yesterday. So, the way that food works, the way that population growth works, we've completely kind of overhauled. Because, we're trying something out with the Lucy OpenDev, and it's quite interesting, but maybe a little bit, again, too far along to the simulation end of the spectrum and not far enough on the board game end. So we're coming back to something a little bit simpler.
Right.
In terms of just general pacing, technology and industry, we've kind of upped the costs quite significantly so that the game lasts for the 300 turns rather than slightly less.
Yeah.
I mean, for the OpenDev, it was nice as well for people in the allotted period of turns to be able to do all kinds of crazy things. But as we open the game up more fully, we want it to. Again, performance reasons, but also it's not necessarily fun to have a million armies.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do things to encourage the use of all the different types of districts. So currently, science and money districts are a little bit underpowered.
Yeah.
Various things on the damage calculation. So before we had a unit that is slightly stronger would completely decimate anything that's slightly weaker. So we've kind of been tweaking that. So many things we've been doing recently. Sieges were too easy to win for the attacker, so we've been reworking, the speed at which you gain siege weapons and how hard it is to destroy walls and things like that.
Climbing
All kinds of little
walls.
things.
Yeah.
Oh yes, horses can no longer climb walls.
Great.
Those are the dot points. Horses can't climb walls. You can no longer eat your opponent's tribes.
Okay, there we go.
Which was an interesting exploit.
Yes.
We worked on UI quite a lot as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Battle UI, which was very much asked for. Of course, diplomacy UI. We are still working on the city UI to make it a bit easier to navigate through.
I guess the moral is like we've gotten a lot of feedback.
Yeah,
and
a lot
we're
of
doing
feedback.
a lot about
Yes,
it.
basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Random stuff with Ugbug on YouTube asks, will there be mod support? Yes, and we're actually talking about that in a little bit, so
Okay.
stay tuned
We'll let
for
Ryan
that.
handle that one.
Yes,
But we can say this is the game where we would have been the most ambitious for, on modding. And I'll let you present more after.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
We'll
let's say
tease,
why.
yeah. Also, one more that I can answer. When will we see the contemporary cultures revealed? We're saving that for just a little bit. We didn't want to spoil every culture for you. So the game comes out later on in April. So expect it a little while before that. You can probably just do the math. How many weeks are leading up to that? Cray JD, can you make your nation with? Sorry, that one I don't understand. Anyway, I'll just move on. Cray JD, if you can submit your question again, that would be awesome. How will avatar customization work? From Connor Barden.
I can go into this round.
Yeah.
Or-
Go.
I'm cautious of always hogging the floor. Right? I have a huge mouth and I love talking, so apologies. So avatar customization. There are various things you can customize. Obviously, visually, you can change your hair, you can change your hair color, you can change your eyebrows, your nose, your mouth. All kinds of visual things. As I said, you can have a really kind of narrow, pointy, evil face and an evil nose, and pick all the most evil kind of cosmetic items.
Yeah.
And you can also have, again, as I said, things like facial scarring and wrinkles. You can be older, younger. You can have eye makeup. And then on top of that, when you've customized the visuals, you can go on to choosing your avatar's what we call the personality, which is essentially the animations that they use, the dialogue choices that they have. So when faced with a specific situation, they will say different things and they'll hold themselves differently. So obviously I choose the very evil, and then on top of that, for the sharing with other players, so with your friends, that you can populate your games with your friends' avatars. You can pull in avatars from all your friends online. You can choose how the AI will play your avatar. So obviously mine is very treacherous and militaristic and flighty and always changing his mind all the time. So you can have you have all these sliders to choose how they work, and then you have biases as well. So for instance, I think I chose a bias of like I'm going to turtle down until I'm ready.
Right.
You have like a single city bias. Or you have. So they're very kind of specific things like, I want to build a maritime empire bias. So they're like kind of manias, I guess.
Yeah.
And the final thing are strengths. And these are passive bonuses that you can put on. So like, my cities produce +3 food or something. And these you unlock by earning, trophies. So you play the game, you unlock these things, you can customize your avatar. They don't apply in single player, so they just apply in multiplayer. So just, you aren't going to be able to roll across your friends just because you've played more than them and have passive boosts. But if you put your avatar in their game, then your avatar will get those bonuses.
Right.
So,
awesome.
yeah.
From YouTube, BB, do you have plans for further content after the main game?
So, from what you could have seen from the previous games that we've done, going back to Endless Space 1, we first said, no, we will not do, at the time, working on that DLC, and, it's bad, and then as soon as we finished the game, people were asking us, okay, when do we see more? You know, so we'd say, okay, maybe we'll do just one. You know, and then when we finish the first one, then people were saying, okay, when do we see more?
Yeah.
and by the time we were already, we already moved on to the next game. So now we understand that our games actually are endless, and obviously, we need to expand on them and to make sure, in a way, it frees us a bit during development because when we do so many things, at the time you can say, okay, you know what, we could have the time to explore maybe these bits later, let's focus, on making a game that ships one day.
Yeah.
And also it's interesting to see when you ship the game, to see also what your players are more interested in, and then you can still keep expanding, the game around, things that are dear to them. So yes, we will, but I think right now the focus is to ship the game.
Yeah.
But and yes, we will look into what we can do later. To keep expanding on it.
For sure. Aaron Witchers from YouTube. What was your biggest take from the Lucy Open Dev feedback?
Good question. I think personally, my biggest takeaway again was those Reddit posts with the districts kind of covering the landscape.
Oh, okay.
And then it's a sort of, I guess, pacing and how I wouldn't say easy, but how it is possible to snowball the economy currently.
Right.
And I wouldn't say it was a wake-up call because, as Roman said, we were kind of aware that the economy needs a little bit of love. But it kind of went from, okay, the economy needs a bit of love at some point to, well, we probably need to fix this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, yeah.
Yeah. So. Fair enough. Luca from Twitch, how many events are there in the game?
Ooh,
1, 2, 3.
Hundreds?
I don't know off the top of my head. I've got this figure 159 popping into my brain, and I'm not sure whether that's the actual number or I think it's somewhere around there. It's in the hundreds.
Yeah, it's 150 to 100.
Because
I have 220 in my head, so maybe it's in between.
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have been. We were doing balancing on the event effects, so I remember we had the full list of them open. Sorry, don't have that information necessarily.
So we can say between 150 and 200.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think
Right.
I think you'll be there. Yeah.
Petite Sarah on Twitch, do you plan on giving talks sometime in game dev conventions or events about some of the new techniques you might be using?
So design techniques or
for humankind.
I mean, you're giving some classes.
Yes, I've given the odd class. I did a conference at the IIM recently, so I did talk about some of that. There may be a VOD at some point that I can pass to Rogan so that you can share that on. We're always happy to talk design. I think during the period leading up to the release of the game, happy to talk, but maybe not enough time. May have been eyes bigger than stomach for that particular conference because, obviously we're very busy with humankind. So but yeah, maybe when the dust has settled on release, we can go and debrief and
And maybe if conventions are ever a thing again.
That's it.
Yeah, that's also an issue.
No, but we've always done a bit of that, and I think some people love doing that a lot. I don't think we are quite like that at Amplitude, but we love to do that once in a while when we can.
Yeah, it shouldn't detract from the actual process of making the actual game, because that's first and foremost what we're about.
Will there be hats for avatars?
I'm not
Remy.
sure. I'm not sure. Don't think so.
Okay. Mihir Patel on YouTube. The next beta when?
So we don't have dates yet, but it's very likely that we'll have one soonish. So not too soon because we still need to work on it. But yes, we'll have at least one. I wouldn't mind more, but at least one.
Yeah, sometime before
the release.
Yeah.
We got tracts of feedback, so we still have to go through everything.
Doodlegoop from Twitch, will there be cosmetics that will be unlocked through gameplay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's the plan.
That's the plan. Okay.
That's the plan.
And then, will you be able to set biases for? Will you be able to set biases for which avatars pick which cultures that are available?
So depending on the archetypes, which are the sliders and the biases, the AI will try to choose specific cultures. So if they're really militaristic, obviously they're going to go for militarist or expansionist cultures,
Right.
But if they're already picked, then they're going to, I mean, it's an AI. It's not necessarily entirely deterministic. It's jazzy, kind of. So they'll sort of go in the direction of given civics and given culture choices, but it won't be completely deterministic.
Okay. Taja from YouTube asks, how much of the production of Humankind was postponed because of the pandemic?
You mean also the delay, basically.
Well, it was kind of like how has the pandemic affected?
Yeah. Well, I think like everyone else's, it's funny because you read a lot of stories about actually video games not that bad. Actually, they sell pretty well. Digital, and people have maybe a bit more time to play.
Like the industry.
In the industry in general, but the fact is, yes, it may be true, but at the same time, making games is a bit harder. So definitely there is, there's a difference between making games and selling games. So it's been harder for us. I think we've been blessed in a way that I think it worked well, but it's not as well. So I probably would say that we were slowed down by maybe it's really hard to tell, maybe 20%, 25%. We had moments where schools were closed, so it's not the case in one France. It may be the case again, but right now it's not the case. When schools were closed, all the parents basically had a lot of issues having to handle kids and work, and often what happens is for the longest you've been in the industry, so the oldest you are, and obviously you're more likely to have kids and more likely to be affected basically in these situations. So kind of a lot of the leads of the project were affected. So sometimes when one person is key, is affected heavily, it definitely falls upon the others, even though maybe there are still 100%. Some people were saying at the beginning, I haven't heard that for a while, but at the beginning people saying, well, actually working from home, I'm more than 100% because I'm not being interrupted all the time. I can focus a bit more. There's less noise on, and which is interesting, but that person being 120%, his or her lead being, heavily affected could affect actually the overall, as a team, productivity of some. So yes, we've been affected. So anyway, a long answer for a short thing, which is yes, maybe like I've been slowed down by 20-25%.
Would not recommend. 0 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
We've made do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the games industry, you can look at it from like maybe a sales standpoint and be like, oh, games are selling, like, you can just buy them digitally. But also at the end of the day, we are an office and we did have to just pick up everything and go home.
And rush home, take a cab.
Exactly.
With the computer.
It's nice to see your colleagues, and a big part of what we do is design and creative direction is we talk to people, we brainstorm, we share the vision with the team. It's a lot of kind of almost being a translation, like interface between different things, and that all becomes a lot more difficult when everyone is I want to say éparpillé, spread out, sprinkled about the world. I'm now thinking in French. This is terrible.
You spend too much time here.
All right, and last one from Twitch. How do you define DLC versus an expansion?
So for us, expansion will really be in the sense it's more or less what we've done in the past already. When we looked at our Endless Legend expansions or Endless Space 2 expansions, it's more about expanding the gameplay. So that's how we look at it. So it's not more of the same. It's you could have a bit more of the same, plus all that which is brand new, and then we have a few different few different philosophies. But what we love is to try to make sure that you have more or less a new thread that goes through the game. So when you start right away, you see, oh, the whole game is changed because of that maybe one little thing, but that will let me see the game in a whole different perspective. So for us, that would be an expansion. Well, DLC for me will be the overall term for any kind of content that you would add. But anyway, if we're saying that if we have expansions, we could have other pieces of content that could be more of the same in a way. Basically, if you're adding new cultures, new units, new buildings, they are unique, each one of them. Yet, you already had buildings in the game before, you already had units before, so it's, in a way, you can say it's a bit more of the same.
Yeah.
And for me, as a player who loves history, and I want to see all the units that ever existed and all the cultures that ever existed. So it's totally endless. Always want to be adding more and explore new more historical eras as well. So it's quite huge. A chance that we have, is when we'll decide not to look into it, is history is huge. It's just an open book for gameplay, basically. And
so much opportunity.
So it's
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on here. This was really fun.
Thank you.
I hope you guys learned a little bit more, got a little peek into how everything's going with humankind. Any parting words from you guys?
I think thank you for many of you who's been around for so long, because 10 years, obviously we've known a lot of you actually for a long time, so maybe not 10 years, but nearly 10 years since we started contacting some of you, and thank you so much, and thank you so much for being, I think, so nice to us for so long. I'm discussing with a lot of friends who experience, maybe the darker side, of community, and we don't feel that. It's amazing to interact with everyone, and even when you are adamant about something that you really want in the game, it's always been a pleasure to interact. So it's just thank you for that, because it makes we love what we do, and thanks to that interaction, it makes it even much nicer. So it's cool.
Perfect.
Yeah. And we've had very positive feedback on the Lucy Open Dev. People were very positive about it, which is it really buoys us up. It's really inspiring, motivating. And when people have had things to say, but they're not happy with this, people have been super constructive. So it's been great on both counts. We've had a lot of kind of people saying this is great, and when people have said this could be improved, they've been very helpful. And
respectful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're in it to make the game as good as it can be, which means we're all on the same team, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Romain, it was your birthday yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes,
it was.
Happy
birthday.
Thank you so much.
Everybody in chat, say happy birthday to Romain.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back with a modding chat with Ryan.
Cool.
Hey everybody, how's it going? We're back right now with Ryan from the Humankind team. Right now we're about to get into a little bit of a modding chat. We haven't talked too much about modding just yet, but I'm hoping that just like the presence of this segment confirms that modding will be in the game. Ryan, do you wanna introduce yourself? What do you do here at Amplitude?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ryan Herv. I'm one of the associate producers on the team. So I work on the management team, or handling, making sure that actually the game gets to the shipping point.
Gets done, yeah.
Gets done.
Stuff gets done, yeah.
That it actually is up to the vision and the quality that we're hoping for it to be.
Yeah.
And I've been working with the feature teams for quite some time, and recently I've moved on and I work mainly with the tool teams.
Nice.
So modding is one of the parts that are covered by that.
Cool. How long have you been working at Amplitude so far?
It's been 3.5 years.
Ooh, nice.
3.5 years, so almost since the start of Humankind.
Has the whole time been on Humankind?
No, I've started on Endless Space too.
Okay, nice.
And some side project that we have not talked about yet.
Yeah.
But it's going to be talked about with Humankind at some point.
Cool. Awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about modding. At the end, we're going to have a bit of like a call for modders. If you guys aren't already following us on Twitter, we're at Humankind Game. If you're a modder and you're interested in modding for Humankind, you can just send us a DM directly over there. Whenever we're ready to kind of explore that, we'll have your username on hand, and we'll be in touch. But it's really good to kind of like start that communication. So if any of you in chat, you're there, you're a modder, you're ready to do some creative stuff, hit us up. Hit up our DMs. Ryan, could you talk a little bit about modding in general, like maybe some of the capabilities and how deep it will go in Humankind?
Yeah. So modding has been a consideration for Humankind since almost the beginning. I think we've talked about it because it's something we've been doing on all our precedent games. And we wanted kind of to change the way it was done from our precedent games. On our precedent games, you were able to mod through text files, basically. And that's something we wanted to get away from. So what we're actually doing on Humankind is that we're going to give the modders access to the Unity editor directly. So that means that modders are going to be able to almost use the tools that we actually use in production.
Okay.
I mean, that's like the baseline of what we're doing for the modding.
So the modding can be done like all directly through Unity for?
Yeah, it's going to be directly, like you're going to have, the users are going to be using a Unity editor, which is like the frame, the engine that we're using to build the game.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a specific version of it that's going to allow them to create mods.
Okay. And so what does that actually mean for like how much freedom modders have to actually like get the things done that they want to, how much like they can actually execute on the vision that they have for like the mod that they want to create?
Yeah, so the modders are going to be like, so there's like the initial package that we're going to be giving access to is going to be the capability of changing game values. So that means balancing, creating new content. So for example, it means creating a new religion, creating a new unit, modifying a unit, or the values that it actually gets, like the modifiers.
Yeah.
It's all the kind of balancing stuff. In addition to that, you're going to be able to change all the localization and translation of the game. So you could add new languages and stuff.
Yeah.
Or if you've changed some balancing, maybe you want to also change some text at certain places.
Yeah.
You should be able to change most of the visual mapping with assets that are already in the game.
Cool.
So something we're also aiming as a initial baseline. So if you want to, for example, replace the Han building by, I don't know, the Han Chinese building, you'll be able to.
Cool.
I don't know if it makes any sense, but
Yeah.
you can do
Like if you want to.
yeah,
you can,
if you want to, or
yeah.
if you want to create a new building for one of the empires, for, I don't know, one of the empires, or for one of the units, you can just create it, and then you can use one of the existing one and
Right.
replace it or use it as is.
Awesome.
Then there's going to be also, like, you can change any 2D texture of the UI. That's easily doable. And because there's a lot of, we're talking about balancing changes, AI usually doesn't like that. So the AI is going to be almost entirely moddable. It's code directly. So
Okay.
I know on Endless Phase 2 we did something similar, and some schools actually tried to do exercise and completely rewrite the AI from
On ES2?
yeah, on
Oh,
Endless Phase
very
2.
cool.
So that's kind of the same thing that we're doing here.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically the community is going to be able to completely rewrite the AI if they want to.
Wow. Very awesome.
I don't know if they're ready to that for
Yeah.
that, but they can do it.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see.
By the way, everybody, I just want to let you know, I can't remember if I touched on this, but if you do have any questions for Ryan, you can just toss them in the chat, just like we did with the previous segment. We have Stephanie, the Cat of Nine Tails, and Bo. They're still watching both YouTube and Twitch chat, so just throw them in there at any point. Whenever something comes to your mind, just throw it in, and we'll be able to answer it for you, or at least try. Is there anything that you're not so sure on will be there?
Yeah, so I haven't mentioned yet, but there's things that we're currently looking at, but that are going to be coming later.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say when it's ready.
Yeah.
And that's basically more expressivity on adding models or adding textures. So the ability to, for example, change the ground terrain, or adding new buildings, new unit models, stuff like that. Yeah, we're still looking into that, and there's still a lot of work to do. So
Yeah.
later.
Sure. Do you have like a timeline for when the modding tools will be available?
So the ones I talked before,
Yeah.
hopefully for release or around release,
Yeah.
that should be ready. Yeah.
Okay. And then we're going to try and like still open it up beyond that to some of the stuff you said might be missing at that point.
Exactly.
Cool.
That's the objective.
Will there be a map editor / scenario editor?
So we do have one internally, and we've been using it for, open devs and other demos we've been doing since quite some time, since almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's things that we have internally. So we are hoping to give access to the players for that. And we've got a work plan on that to make it happen, that it's available as a proper standalone for players.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to, around release, maybe have a preview on the map editor.
Okay.
I think the scenario editor is going to be coming later on.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about like what those things are supposed to do?
Yeah, sure. So the map editor, that's really going to be ways to build a custom generation of the terrain. So you're going to be able to build your own map, so your own ocean, your own elevation, your own mountains, your own point of interest. You can place the player starts wherever you want.
Right.
Place your, like, if you don't want any, you don't want any iron or any petrol in the game, but you can.
You just decide.
Yeah,
nope.
you just decide you do whatever you want. And then the scenario, you can either use a generation, or you can maybe use one of the custom maps you've made, and you can prepare a specific setup for initial game. So you could say, so there's going to be 5 empires. You're going to start with one empire which already has like a city, and everybody's like going to be fighting you when you're like stuck somewhere. Or maybe you're going to be recreating some Game of Thrones or Lord of the Ring fan fiction, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Or some historical
Both good
battle.
choices.
Or a historical battle, if you're into
for sure.
that kind of stuff.
Nice. Can you walk us through like a little bit of a timeline, or not really
like a timeline. You don't have to like attach dates or anything, but maybe like a couple milestones leading up to like what modding can look like eventually in humankind?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we're looking at currently most of the things I've talked about in this initial thing that we're coming out released. Those are already things that we have in team that kind of work, and we're hoping to have a preview tour on those for modders pretty soon.
Okay, cool.
So I think that we're going to be talking more specifically about that.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's kind of going to be the same kind of thing for the map editor, I think, in around the release, or when we're going to be releasing the other parts of the modding. Around release, we'll also make sure that it's going to be all the modding is going to be working through the Steam Workshop.
Okay.
So that's also going to be happening around release, and then the big next step is probably going to be releasing a proper map editor and doing a preview on the scenario editor.
Right.
And then it's really a big when it's ready on when we can properly release a scenario editor and the other modding tools that we've talked about earlier.
For sure. But that's something like we are actively working on.
Yeah,
We'd like to.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure of that.
Awesome.
But of course, that depends a lot also on how the live's going to be going, how actually you guys are interested in whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
What's happening with the modding.
But we do plan to, support it beyond what it is during release.
Yeah. That's planned.
Maybe we should look at the vote that we have going on currently. Can you talk a little bit about what we have going on Games Together right now? Because we do have a vote here that like literally just went up, everybody. This is a vote for 3 different styles of mod that we... I'll let Ryan take it away.
Sure.
For this.
Yeah, so we've been talking about this quite some time. Like we wanted to, at the release, when the modding tools come out, we want to make sure that that you guys can actually see what a mod could look like rather than should, and so that's kind of what the vote's for. We're trying to see what you want, what kind of mod you actually want, and help us help you guys tell us what you want, what kind of mod we should be doing.
Yeah.
And then the point of the mod is really just to highlight what the system's capable of.
Right. Yeah.
And create some pretty fun experience. That's not the main game.
Yeah, definitely. And we have one of our development partners helping us out with that eventually. Yeah. And so we've got fantasy, science fiction, and alternate history. These are the 3 different themes of the mods that will be able to show you the different capabilities of the actual modding tools. So you can go to Games Together right now, and as long as you have an account, you can go in there and you can vote for which one you want to see. They're all very cool. Which one would you vote for, do you think?
That's a tough question.
Like, which vibe do you like the best? Are you a fantasy movie guy?
No, I take the alternate history, I think.
I think,
Yeah.
Humankind,
yeah.
Yeah,
I just want to, see those Viking mechs. Whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, that would be sick. I'd probably go with sci-fi. I think that'll be pretty sweet. But yeah, you guys go vote for yours, whichever one you're into, and you can do that right now. Maybe we'll take some questions from the community, because I'm sure you guys have some stuff. Again, not texting. I'm just looking at my phone to get these up. Okay. So, will 3D assets be able to be created using Blender? That's from Oliver Cook from YouTube.
Hopefully. So, that's one of the things that will not be available at release.
Yeah.
And that should be available, that we're planning to release later on. Like I said, I don't have a specific release date at the moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the first, in like during the first DLCs or big updates.
Yeah.
Hopefully that should be possible.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron Witchers from YouTube says, I'm a 3D artist and game designer. Will there be tools for non-programmers?
Yeah. Basically, I mean, you're just going to have to install the Unity editor, and you'll be able to, like I said, you'll be using the tools that our designers use, and they're not all programmers.
Right.
Some of our artists also use these tools, like part of those tools. So yeah, that's clearly not, like if you're not a programmer, you should be able to do it.
Right.
Of course, if you're not used to the engines, it might not be straight, like there might be like a learning curve to get into it. And hopefully on the side, there'll be the map editor and the scenario there, which should be a lot more accessible.
Right, yeah, for sure. But just an opportunity to get better. There you go. Ronnie K90 from YouTube asks, this might be a little bit of a tough one to answer, but is there any chance popular mods will be integrated into the Stadia client?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
We did talk about that, and there's a lot of questions about that because there's stuff we need to talk about with Google, because as soon as there's Stadia involved, there's so
just something we gotta talk.
We did consider this, but I don't think we've had any decision taken on it.
Sure.
But it is, I would say it's possible because we did stuff like that on our precedent games where we try to integrate modding assets. But
yeah, just something that we need
just
to
not sure. There's nothing clear here
get
yet.
clarification on. Doodlegoop from Twitch, will there be support for custom voices and cosmetics for avatars?
Avatars. So avatars is probably going to be really the only part of the game which is not going to be moddable because we initially at least don't want it to. Because initially I do think though that maybe at some point we might want to do it.
Maybe at some point.
Yeah, but not right away.
Real Masterpaw from Twitch as well. Can we alter game mechanics, and to what extent?
That's a tough one. The answer is yes, because the way we built, like, as most of our games, it's a 4X game, so most of the gameplay is actually built around content and game data and values and stuff like that. So by changing a lot of the content, you can actually change a lot how the game feels and how the game behaves and kind of how mechanics behave.
Right.
And the AI can sometimes has to completely rethink everything.
Right.
And, has to work completely differently.
Okay.
But still, the answer is kind of no, because you're not going to be able to code something different.
Right.
In the tools that we are giving, as there are at least.
Right. Okay. And will players / modders be able to create their own maps? That's negative cipher on Twitch as well.
So if players are going to be able to create maps, right?
Create their own maps, yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically what the map editor is for.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully yes. Like I said, maybe not right off release, but in the pretty soon.
Yeah.
I hope.
Doodlegoop again from Twitch. In multiplayer, do all players need to have the mods, or will they automatically download before the game begins if they are missing any?
I'm having a doubt on this. I'm having a doubt on this one.
It's if we can answer it later in a blog or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure anymore what's the right answer here.
Yeah.
We did have we did talk about this, and there's something made for it. We did decide, but I'm not sure of that.
Yeah. No worries. Real Masterpaw again. Also, can we change how era stars work or are achieved or completed?
Yeah, you'll be able to balance the values linked to it. You might even be able to change some of the triggers. I'm not sure exactly to what extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly to what extent, but at least what's sure, you can change some parts of the balancing values. That's pretty sure. I'm just not sure of the triggers. If you can change those.
All right. From YouTube, Aaron Witchers again. I think I'm starting to get to know the modders in chat. If we make a really good mod, would you be willing to take a team under your wing to develop a game from that? I don't think that's our decision.
Yeah, I'm going to call Romain.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's
Let's get it done.
That's Joker card.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I mean, in general, we did put a lot of support, or at least like we did usually help the community with our mods.
Yeah.
At least like by giving them visibility, or like sometimes I do think we had community patch, like community mods on balancing.
Right.
That we actually sometimes transformed into patches for some of our previous games.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not exactly answering the question, but I mean, we were always pretty close to the community and trying to like.
Absolutely. Like yesterday, we were playing Endless Legend on stream, and we were using the community patch for that, which was created by Leader Enemy Boss, who is a part of the community, and it allowed us to spectate other players. Like I was using that. So like we do really support, like whenever we do a stream, like I think it would be really cool to be able to enable the mods that you guys are creating on stream, or maybe do like mod focuses or something like that. Like our goal is really to support these and support you guys, because you know it's pretty cool that you're using our games to recognize your, like, I don't know, vision.
Yeah, and I do think we also did something similar with an AI modder who like did some big improvements on In the Space 2, and we actually used some of it.
Yeah.
Like directly to make changes.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not sure of the story exactly again, but
yeah. Well, like we're always working with the community on stuff like that. We're always seeing what you guys are doing, and like if it's awesome, like why wouldn't we? You know. Another one from Twitch, I believe. Will players be able to expand upon the tech tree, such as like add more technologies, or maybe even proceed into future eras?
Yes. I mean, it's going to be possible to create new technologies, to add new ones in specific in any era.
Yeah.
And I think there's creating new eras or adding eras in the middle.
Okay.
That might be a tricky part.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But extending on eras that already exist and adding new technologies in there and stuff like that. That shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. From YouTube, Slater Tuma. Will we be able to mod and add terrain types to create more diversity in the terrain?
Yeah. In theory, you're going to be able to create new ones, but in practical, you won't be able to do any visual changes until we've added the visual, like the possibility to actually change materials. So you're going to be able to create diversity in gameplay, but you're not going to be able to create diversity in visuals. So
right. Yeah.
At least at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mihir Patel from YouTube again. Will there be console commands in single player?
No. There will not be any console commands.
No console commands.
No, we don't have console commands. I do suppose we will have some way to get into our debug tools, or part of our debug tools, because that's something we usually give access to for modders. So I mean, if you know how to get access to those, you can cheat your way around. If that's what you're wanting to do.
Explore a bit. Yeah.
So it's not console commands, but it's similar, I suppose, in a way.
Slater again from YouTube. Will there be a way to create adjacency bonuses around specific types of terrain, like rocks, fields lowering the yields of adjacent tiles, or rivers adding food around like other ones?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be able to play around with those effects, add new ones. Yeah, you'll be able to do whatever we are able to do,
Yeah.
basically, or we have tried to do, because maybe what's in the game now has gone through a lot of iterations with like a lot of different balancing iterations, and there might still like you might find stuff that you like and that we are not using anymore. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And then I think this is the last one. Doodle Goop asks, I'm assuming this will all be through the Steam Workshop. I think you said that already.
Yeah, we'll be using the Steam Workshop for the mod publishing and sharing.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Oh, one more. Shami from YouTube. Oh, no. Didn't get that one. Disappeared. Anyway, I think that's it. I think you painted a pretty good picture of what modding can look like. Obviously, we're pushing to get a good portion of it out for release, but you know there'll still be stuff that like we're building upon kind of post-release. But I know for a fact that we will be supporting all of you who are modding using Humankind and some of the tools that we're releasing, and we're excited to see what everybody can do with them. Are you a modder yourself? You ever mod?
Did I ever mod? No, I've never been a modder. I've been a mod user.
Yeah, mod user. Yeah.
But no, I've never created a mod myself, other than for professional reasons, because I needed to test it. But
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Fair enough. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate you coming by and talking a little bit about it. I know we are doing, like I said near the start of the stream, a call for modders, just so that we can have that conversation, start that conversation, and you know, see you guys out there. And then whenever we're sort of ready to start testing these out, maybe even like a little bit early, if we want like some feedback or whatever, we'll have you guys on hand. So just send us a message on Twitter @HumankindGame. Maybe even like shoot over some work that you've done, or whatever you think is relevant, and we'll get that conversation started. We want to hear from you. Any parting words, Ryan?
No, no.
No?
No, I'm just really happy I didn't have to say all the names out. I feel like I'm really bad at spelling the.
Oh no, it's all good. Honestly, I see them here and I still get all of them wrong. So I apologize to every name that I got wrong out there. We appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Right after this, we're going to be playing some Humankind. We have drops enabled on Twitch. So if you're on YouTube right now and you haven't received any of the drops just yet, you can stop by Twitch. Just make sure you have a Twitch account. Just link it to your Games Together account, and you'll be able to get some of those sweet, sweet rewards. We'll start playing pretty soon. We just got to set a couple things up. Might be maybe 15, 20 minutes, and we'll be back pretty soon. But thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
We'll see you guys in a sec. Everybody, how's it going? Okay, we're back. We've had our modding chat. We've had our chat with William and Roma. Now let's play some Humankind.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's time.
I think it's time.
I think it's time.
Bo, you're ready?
Well,
Steph,
yeah.
you're ready?
I was about to say, you sit over there and say, let's play some Humankind. Because you are actually
Well, we are
involved in
literally
playing.
doing,
No,
you know.
it'll be me on the controls of the game, while Bo and Rogan will handle our lovely chat and
Yep.
all your comments and questions. And I guess you'll be doing most of the moderating as I focus on the game and maybe occasionally say something about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I think, well, I guess question to chat, is anybody in chat actually, not familiar with the game yet?
Yes.
We might have newcomers, or we might just have a lot of people who already played in the Lucy Open Dev and want to see more.
I just want to say again, like I've said a couple times in this stream, I have my phone out, but it's just because I'm using that to look at the chat. I'm not texting. Or
Me
maybe
too.
I am.
He's a
maybe we are.
professional.
Wow.
We're paying him to use it. So
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
because we are a little short on prompt screens, I guess, so we are using our phones.
It would be cool
for-
to have like an iPad or something
yeah,
like that.
just on
like
one
sitting, like,
with floating chat
yeah.
on it or something.
But this is kind of our first time doing like a stream like this on the chairs. We're nice and comfy. I don't know about Steph. You got that stool over there. How's that going?
it's fine. It's definitely better from a posture than the chair was.
Yeah.
Because when I was in the armchair yesterday, I had to find hard not to just slouch back and relax because I don't have such a comfortable chair at home in my tiny apartment.
Yeah.
It would just be too big for my tiny apartment.
Right.
So it's like, oh yeah, I haven't sat in a chair like this for ages and so distracting.
Yeah. Well, I should say, as Steph is getting started here in the Neolithic era, we are playing the Lucy Open Dev build right now. So the map will be familiar to you. We also have drops enabled currently. So if you didn't get a chance to get any of the avatar AIs that we have from some of the creators that are involved in this, you have another chance to grab them right here. So
Yeah.
who do we have? We have the Spiffing Brit.
Yes, we have Cerator. Those are the two rare. The
Two rares.
Yeah.
Those are the two like
Yeah.
shiny names.
Yeah. Then we have Bird Black.
Of course.
We have
They're all shiny names.
yes.
Yeah.
Then we have Cool 18.
Yep.
We have Lomadia,
Yep.
and for some reason the last name eludes me.
It's always the last one. Which one are we
Yeah.
missing? Lamadia. Lewis.
Lewis of the Yogscast.
Lewis of the Lot.
How could I forget Lewis?
How could we forget?
I'm sorry, Lewis, if you're watching.
Yeah.
You probably aren't, but if you are, sorry, I didn't
Yes.
mean to forget you.
So how it
Tomorrow
works?
morning, no wait, tomorrow is Saturday, we're not going in. Monday morning,
Yeah.
you log into Outlook and have a message.
Angry
Collaboration
emails.
cancelled.
Yeah. Delete my avatar.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
No.
Don't be mad, Lewis.
So
There's an event.
first event.
Yes, I guess since
Yeah, I
I
can't
have a
read from
better
here.
view of the game, I can tell why this popped up.
Yeah.
As you can see up here on the top, the 3 ways to leave the Neolithic era is have 3 successful, let's say, hunting expeditions.
Mm.
Get to 5 population total, which is also very powerful because population is valuable. Or get a 10 knowledge, quote unquote. Of course, a knowledge, 2 knowledge is a bit weird, but the little curiosities that give you a little bit of knowledge, like, oh, we found these interesting sharp rocks, we can make tools out of them, that kind of thing. And because that's the one I got, 10 abstract points of knowledge,
Yeah.
we got the A Tribes Legacy event, and that's like, yeah, we're standing at the crossroads, and what is the legacy, what did we actually learn from all these events, and it's like, yeah, did we learn to be industrious, did we learn to farm,
Yep.
or were we more cultural, like we have an oral tradition of stories?
Oh, I like storytelling, though.
I like stories.
Well then, let's go for storytellers.
There we go. Steph, what kind of playthrough are you going for here? Are you gonna maybe depend a little bit on chat, or maybe be incredibly aggressive, or
I didn't have anything in mind
yeah?
to go for, so I guess we can ask
Yeah,
chat
You can ask chat.
for at least which culture we should start with.
Yes, chat. Who should we start with here? Which?
for, I guess, for those who are maybe not familiar with all of the cultures, because I always struggle to remember them all. So
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
quickly repeating, the Assyrians, which are, as you might guess from the name, from somewhere around the area of modern Syria. The Babylonians from the what's the Zweistromland in English? The Euphrates and Tigris rivers in the Near East.
Those rivers.
Them rivers.
Them rivers.
The Egyptians, of course, in the Nile. From the Nile.
Oh, nice.
Oh, the puns.
The Harappans, also from a river, because they're also known as the Indus civilization. So those are from the Indus is like in the western part of the Indian subcontinent.
I like.
I think
I like saying
think it's
that
in
name.
modern Pakistan, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, it might be at the border.
Yeah.
The Hittites from Anatolia, I believe. The Messenians, that is ancient inhabitants of the Greek peninsulas. Basically, these are the guys who sieged Troy. The Nubians from south of Egypt had lots of wars with the Egyptians until they formed one big kingdom. The Olmecs, you probably might not have heard the name, but you certainly heard of the giant stone heads they built.
The classic
Yeah.
Olmec heads.
Not the same kind of head you find on the Easter Islands, a bit more squat.
There was an Olmec heads
Yeah.
episodes on The Simpsons
And,
once when I
the-
was a young lad.
Scary stuff.
The Phoenicians, they're from the Levant, so east coast of the Mediterranean, and they colonized all of the Mediterranean coasts, and they're the one of the colonies later became Carthage.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And I believe we've been told it's pronounced Zhou, which is an ancient Chinese dynasty. Towards the end of this dynasty, Confucius was active and had a big impact on Chinese culture. And as you can see here from the harmonious thought and the ability of the Zanshe, called mandate of heaven, like a central tenet, so to speak, of how the Chinese view their government, started in that era. This idea of the ruler has a mandate from the heaven, from the divine, to rule, but if the country is moving into a bad state, this clearly means he has lost the favor of the gods and it's time
Yeah.
for a change.
I don't think we've ever played the Joe on
Well,
stream. We played a couple of the other ones over here.
Maybe we should, because we have one person on the YouTube chat who's saying
Yeah.
we should play the show.
We have
I'm
a couple
so sorry.
people here. You know what's funny about this era? We had at least a couple people say one of each.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
That is cool, because that means we covered a good spread of,
Yeah.
of cultures. When we were revealing them, I remember there were a lot of people saying it's very focused on the Near East or Middle East, which is true, because sometimes when we were picking the cultures, it was also a bit like scenario. Like if we pick these cultures, then you can reenact these famous historical
Yeah.
battles and wars and stuff like that, which is true for basically all of the eras. So these are a bit of the outlier from being from the Far East, so
Yeah.
let's go with them.
We go
A
with them.
couple people said do a poll, but we do have a chat bot. It's just not really working properly right now.
We're gonna set
so-
that up for the future.
Of
Yeah,
course,
absolutely.
personally speaking, the most important part of the decision for me was not shown, because I didn't check who gets the nicest dress.
That does definitely play into it.
So Aaron Witchers from on YouTube, in the YouTube chat,
Yeah.
asks this the open def scenario, and yes, this is the Lucy open def scenario.
From
that
last December.
that was live this December, so we are playing the same build of that one.
Yeah. And how do you pronounce their name? Like Stephanie just said, I've been told it's the Joe, but I've heard it a couple
We do not
times.
speak any kind of Chinese. I say any kind of Chinese because much like there's many different dialects of English, there's many different dialects of Chinese.
Yeah.
And even worse, I believe the type of Chinese spoken at the time of this dynasty was, of course, very different than modern Mandarin.
Yeah.
or other Chinese dialects. So even if we spoke those, it wouldn't help us pronounce this right.
Right.
Yeah.
We'd have to ask a specialist in Chinese history
Yeah.
to really nail the pronunciation.
But we try our best.
Dr. Kane from chat, Jowar okay, Olmecs would be better. I think we played as the Olmecs the last time or the time before that we played on stream. So just trying to get a feel for
Just a little
for all of
different flavor.
just
right?
dip into a couple different pies, you know?
Yes.
I won't talk about pie.
Yeah, I was about to say, Rogan, don't start it again.
Yeah, we had a pie talk yesterday, right?
And honestly, a couple different streams we've talked about different pies. So, how is everybody doing in chat? Everybody looking forward to Humankind?
We do have.
Because this is the open dev that you have played if you were involved in the Lucy open
If you
dev.
manage to find the time to play
Yeah.
during December, then this is the Humankind that was there.
What people in chat? What are your favorite ancient era cultures? I want to hear. Were they the cultures that you voted for when you were saying like, "Hey, go for the Olmecs, go for the"? I think most people chose the Zhao actually.
At least that was what was said on YouTube.
Yeah.
In the YouTube chat.
YouTube
But
as well.
I think it was one, maybe two people.
Yeah, yeah. What do you got here? Battle here
Yeah, you know, just
with a nice little deer.
Yeah, get that deer.
Get out of here, deer. You're in my way.
I
That-
mean, being super pragmatic here, you know, the antlers and the fur are valuable. So after I kill it,
Yeah,
I skin it,
and
I
then.
sell it, and as soon as I get 10 gold,
Oh wow.
which is nice because my income is 0 because my city isn't finished yet.
Get a little more going now.
A little start.
By the way, everybody, how the drops work is that you have to watch for a full hour. And if you watched, let's say you watched 45 minutes when we were doing the Lucy Open Dev back in December and we were streaming, and you only had 15 minutes left to get those and we didn't stream again, you just have to watch for 15 more minutes. Hopefully
Yeah.
you watch for more, but
It's-
it kind of carries over.
It
that.
carries over. It's cumulative. So
Yeah.
so that's that.
Yeah.
But you also have to make sure, right, that your Twitch account is linked to Games Together.
Yes.
Right, because otherwise it won't work.
Yeah. We'll be going for maybe about, I don't know, an hour and a half longer right now until about 6:45 for us, whatever that is for you. It's CET, Central European Time or Central European Standard Time?
Well, it's
I think it's Central European Time right
Yeah,
now.
it's CET now.
Yeah.
The S is when
summer.
that's the summertime.
It's a summertime.
Yeah.
There you go. So just have to watch for an hour, and then you'll get the drops if you have them enabled. But be careful. Go into the drops tab on Twitch and just claim them there when you got it. You'll get a little notification in the chat.
And you also shouldn't worry too much if you don't get them this time around. These avatars aren't
Yeah.
going away. They are coming. They are definitely coming back. They will be there in the future, also after release,
Yeah.
and there will be other ways to get them also in the future outside of watching Twitch.
Yeah, we're committed.
Yes. So, but more on that in the future, right? On how avatars can be
Yeah.
claimed.
Are you meeting anybody here, Steph?
No, it's just more deer.
More deer?
Lots of deer.
More deer, more money,
Oh deer,
more
oh deer.
antlers? Yeah.
Is that a sanctuary I'm spotting up there?
Yes, and it will be ransacked.
More gold.
Is it
Mostly
deer?
because I want to put the cities there, so the sanctuary can't be in the way.
Is a deer the same as a reindeer?
I think.
No,
actually, I'm
they're
not,
two different.
They're two different animals.
Okay. Do you know what
I
the
mean,
difference
I
is?
think they're related, but they're definitely not the exact same animal.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, they look pretty similar.
I think deer is actually already a pretty wide term, and no, Rogan, I disagree. A deer in the sense we usually use, like the deer we have here, and the reindeer does not look that similar.
I don't know. Depends.
Apart from being,
on some level,
four-legged
right?
animals with
Antlers,
like antlers,
Four legs,
That's
puffy tail.
I could say that's like saying like an antelope and a gazelle look the same.
But like a deer is like just a smaller reindeer, maybe. A reindeer is a caribou, is what Shroom Mage says.
But exactly. That's the other thing. Like, for you as a Canadian, you have caribou, right?
Yeah.
And that's a different animal than a reindeer as well.
Okay, I guess. Yeah. It might be. Well, Shroom Mage says a reindeer is a caribou.
Well, yes, like
So now this is
it's also at
okay.
different levels. But like what I mean is
Yeah.
the caribou you have in Canada are not the same species as the reindeer from Scandinavia
Fair.
that we usually think of when we say reindeer.
Fair enough.
So
You
deer,
heard it here first, chat.
Deer
for
Chat
obvious
2021,
reasons, I guess.
everybody.
Because it's pretty far to swim across from Scandinavia to Canada.
Yeah. Reindeer is a level 2 caribou. Nice. Very nice.
So,
Now
related question.
Now I
then.
got to ask, of course. Okay, if they make this comparison with caribou and reindeer, how is it with llama and alpacas?
Oh,
Or-
that's
or-
also a tricky one.
Or moose or elk. Are moose or elk the
Yeah.
same?
I don't.
I think
it's
not,
kind of like
but-
the same.
So, any,
Like they're not the same, but like they kind of.
maybe somebody in chat knows. I'm gonna check because I'm curious. Maybe some people gotta know more. I'm just seeing somebody posting penguin emotes.
In the Winnipeg Zoo, we have a lot of like different types of like that animal, like elk, moose, deer, like those ones that have antlers and stand on 4 hooves.
Yeah.
But you
And
know,
like I'm looking for like a lion or something.
you know, I guess I could say the most confusing part is always when you see an animal and you think, oh yeah, this is, like, I don't know, like, this is clearly some kind of deer or something, and then you look,
Yeah.
no, it's from Australia. It's actually not related at all. Because it's not,
Yeah, just happens to look similar.
yeah, it just happens to look. There's actually what's the term? There's a scientific term for that. That like animals evolve to fill the same niche because there's like similar conditions.
You can, yeah.
But because they have different ancestry, they can be vastly different. Like in Australia, you have a lot
So,
of
like
what's
crabs.
the English word for beutels? Yeah,
They're like, supposedly I heard someone tell me once that there are like 6 completely different strain of crab that have nothing to do with each other.
Really?
Yes,
But
yes,
they,
Just like
they evolved 6 different places around the world
And
or
they're
something.
just a little
but
crabby.
they sort of all became crabs, but they
I
are
think-
not related.
I think there's even like
I don't know.
extinct types of crabs that also have nothing to do with the ones that still exist. And I believe that is so prevalent that scientists have a term specifically for things evolve to look like crabs.
Right.
Like
Convergent evolution is what
Oh, is
chat
that in chat?
calling
I'm
it.
gonna check.
Yeah.
I
What-
think
Convergent evolution.
That's very interesting.
Oh,
Very.
what's the one with the crabs called? Carcino
Still penguin
something.
emotes on YouTube. I like penguins though,
penguins.
I will say.
Yeah, I do like
Um,
penguins as well.
They have a nice zoo here in Paris with penguins in it.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm going.
yeah.
Well, I can't now, but
Well, I mean, that's probably closed
Eventually.
because of COVID, but once it's, open again.
as a biologist, I joke, everything evolves into crabs at some point.
Wait,
There you
but
go.
wait. If nature has a tendency to evolve into crabs, does that mean that Horatio will eventually evolve into a crab because he's perfect?
A
Of course.
smooth,
That's
like
just
a smooth crab.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
a really smooth, sleek one.
With like a weird little
Like elongated
protruding.
carapace.
Yeah. That yes. The answer is yes, I think. What do you think, chat? Chat? No.
Crab ratio. Horatio crab. How would you even call it?
Crabs
An
evolved
version
into
of
Horatio. Yeah.
Oh, so Horatio is the next step in the evolution.
Yeah, Horatio. Yeah.
I can live with that answer.
So if Horatio was a Pokemon, it would like start as Horatio, and then like the OP evolution would be like Crab Ratio or something like that.
No, wait, if Horatio were a Pokemon,
Yeah.
he'd evolve, and then you sit there and you think, but I didn't press B to cancel. Why is he still Horatio?
Yeah, no kidding. And he'd just stay the same. Yeah, definitely.
But let's maybe turn away from the endless and back to you.
Yeah,
Fair,
we're
fair
playing
enough.
humankind and not crab and
I mean, crab
deer
is,
and
I
moose.
guess, sort of topical because it's a meme in the Civ community.
Yeah. Have you met anybody? Oh, not yet, hey?
No, still looking.
Still looking.
But hey, I've grabbed the entirety of the, well, not all of the eastern coast yet, but I'm
Yeah.
in the process of
So
grabbing
you
all of
are-
the eastern coast.
You are building outposts everywhere.
I'm building quite a few outposts too.
Yeah.
Mostly I was claiming resources because this is a very nice spot for my emblematic quarter.
So that might be a question when some have, right? Like when you are in the Neolithic period and you build an outpost, you build more than one. Like does all the territories you build outposts in, do they automatically become yours when you transition into the ancient?
Yes, but that's one of the areas where we got a lot of feedback from the open devs, so we're like looking exactly at how that works and how it's balanced.
That's a
Because to put it simply, there was a thread on Games Together simply titled Neolithic OP.
Oh,
So
well, that's
yes,
where, yeah.
we're
Because you
definitely
can,
looking at it because we didn't expect people to be quite this good at the Neolithic era and to get quite this much territory and quite this much population.
Yeah.
you can block real quick.
Yeah. And yeah, it can also, it can kind of like stem directly from the Neolithic, right? Etch Guy says, crab mod for humankind when? We actually just had a modding chat. If you want to make a crab mod, let's see it eventually.
And to satisfy some of the penguin talk on YouTube right now, the YouTube chat,
Yep,
penguin kind mod.
yep,
I mean, if people want to do mods with penguins,
yeah.
then I will play it.
Well, from what Ryan was saying, like it seems it's gonna be something that's that you have like quite a bit of freedom in. So who knows? Maybe like right when release rolls around the end of April, we'll have a version of it out. But then we'll like keep iterating on it. So it'll be pretty cool. I can't wait to see some of the mods in this game. That'll be cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you
Are you a big mod user, like in any game?
That depends, actually. That depends
Yeah.
what game I'm playing. I prefer not to use mods if it's a game I'm learning.
Yeah. Me
Then
too.
I prefer to be as vanilla as possible.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I get overwhelmed too easy or something. But there are other games where I like to add mods, especially if it's games where it's for the sake of visual diversity.
Yeah.
For an example, I like playing a game like City Skylines and add a whole bunch of custom buildings from modders. Like,
Yeah. Those are
so you have different types of skyscrapers and shops and whatever.
Yeah.
It just makes your city more colorful when you're playing that game. Or in a game like XCOM,
yeah. Very cool.
like different hairstyles, clothing options, tattoos, whatnot. It just you start building a relationship to your soldiers, to your troops.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of stuff.
It looks like Steph is in a diplomatic
I was
situation.
wondering, May I interrupt you a
yeah.
moment so I can talk about one of the game features?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Because-
more important.
Since Rogan has been asking constantly if I met somebody, I did finally meet somebody. So they clearly want to trade with us to make some money. But what I actually wanted to talk about is, of course, the avatar and the avatar AI. Because the feature focus for that was released just today, so you can check that out on YouTube or the blog on Games Together. But the quick rundown is that in addition to the visual customization of your face, your hair, your eyes, nose, etc., and the avatar changing costume to match cultures, like you can see the Zhou costume as opposed to the Babylonian costume here. Well, I say costume. I shouldn't say costume. Costume sounds so much like they're dressing up and pretending. Well,
Their clothing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Their outfit.
You can also see at the bottom here that the AI has certain traits. And William was talking about that earlier on stream, but since not everybody was here back then, most likely, I'll go over it quickly. The archetypes are like general ideas, like loyal. Yeah, okay, I have an alliance with her, so she will not suddenly betray me and declare war. No, she'll stick with the alliance, and she's committed. So she makes a plan, and then she sticks to her guns. She doesn't like impulsively change what she's doing and wary.
So
Okay, it'll take a little longer for her to trust us.
A person that doesn't go with the flow.
No.
And then she has the strengths, which is okay. She has slightly stronger emblematic units and more strength on garrisons, so on like castles and stuff she builds. So with these traits, she's probably going to play a bit more defensively. And we can also see actually she has a trait that she really likes building castles, or garrisons as they're now called. So you can kind of see what the AI will be like.
Gladly.
If it says,
blessings.
aggressive, betrayer, and greedy or something like that, then you might be, maybe I shouldn't sign that alliance proposal they just sent.
Right. Yeah. Tuma says, don't know how they will manage the mods on the Epic Games Store. That's not a question for me, probably a better one for Ryan, so I can definitely ask him that. I know that we would like to potentially get a blog out, maybe answering some of the questions that we didn't get around to during these past 3 days, because we got a lot of really good ones
of questions
from all of you guys.
We've had 3 days of amplified streams, and every day we had a bunch of questions coming in on both YouTube and Twitch, and also Games Together, Twitter, and all of these other places. We tried to get as many of them answered as we could, but time is a factor.
For sure.
So we would like to, however possible, to sort of collate these questions and sort of get them answered a little more neatly, so it's easier to peruse as a reader.
Definitely. So you can just you can stay tuned to Games Together, or on Twitter we'll probably push that a little bit. So if that's your thing, at Humankind Game is where we post everything Humankind, and then at Amplitude is where we're pushing some of the Endless stuff currently. We're trying to get at Endless Universe, but we'll see how that works.
I mean, everybody who's ever tried to change Twitter handles knows it's not easy.
Yeah, totally.
But let me briefly talk about the game again, because for anybody who's not seen it before, you probably noticed before that when I founded the city, like this whole region started pulsing in blue and being colored in blue, because we control everything here now with this city. And we can, in theory, build in a lot of places here if we get there. But these other ones still have a stripy border. They're not fully claimed yet. We have the outpost, but anybody can walk in there and burn it down. But the reason I claimed this region, even though unlike the other ones I claimed, like we can see there's horses, there's copper, there's more horses, those are valuable because they have resources. This place is there's nothing in there and it's not even terribly big, so why would I take this? The reason is this attach button here. I can click this. We can see, okay, it's a bit harder to control the stability. More paperwork to do, because we all know the French and the Germans love their paperwork.
Bureaucracy.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess bureaucracy is on point for the Joe, because I think they did kind of combine the whole bureaucratic approach with the Confucianism,
right?
In some way.
So it's all part of the role play.
Yeah. The point is, I can build it over here now. This special district. Speaking of Confucians, the Confucian school, which is +5 science per mountain next to it, and this one has 4 mountains next to it. So that's really powerful. That's one of the feedbacks from the OpenDev as well. This one will probably see some reduction in numbers because it was just way too good. Like this district here will now probably, when it's done, allow me to power through the rest of the ancient tech tree in a couple of turns. So expect all of the numbers you're seeing while we're showing this off to change, because we got a lot of feedback on what's too good and what's not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, Steph, this might be a good opportunity, like, if you do come across anything that we saw in the feedback, just, like, call it out, because that's cool.
I got a couple of questions from the YouTube chat.
I just have one to address real quick. Tell me again what avatar I get upon fulfilling my drop hour. All 6. Yeah. All 6 of them you all get. You'll unlock all of the ones that we have available. We just want to give you guys more opportunities to kind of get your hands on them. And there won't be only those 6 available. We'll be probably adding more between now and release. So like you're not done yet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
We would like to add more.
Yeah, definitely.
Also after release, for
Yes,
that matter. But they take time to make. It's quite an effort.
Yeah.
It's
cool. It's so cool to see.
They're very cool, but it's not something we're gonna rush.
Definitely.
We are planning to have them long term. It's not like they are just gonna be seasonal or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
we are
Sorry, I
making-
interrupted you.
Yeah. I have two questions from YouTube that were sort of related to stuff we saw while Stephanie was playing and while we were chatting about deer and whatnot.
Yeah. And reindeer and
uh,
caribou.
Yeah. Let's not get into the deer chat.
It's a typical Amplitude story.
But the first one, because apparently, and I did not spot that, forgive me if I missed it, but apparently you killed a mammoth
Yes.
a while ago. And Jason Kamara asks, out of curiosity, what did they get from killing that mammoth?
40 gold.
40 gold.
Mm.
But the mammoths are one of those things as well where we got feedback from OpenDev that maybe you get too much compared to the effort of killing them.
40 pretty early on is.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's quite a
that's
bit.
huge. Okay, at this point I make 19 a turn. I'm not even sure why.
Yeah. So those are
I
some of
think-
those things to clarify a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think of course my city started making money because I have people now working on money. Whereas before I had only one person and he was working food, so he would get food.
Yeah.
And I believe some of the other money I'm getting is because I settled near some resources somewhere. But no, it's from here. It's hiding.
The
at the
wonder.
edge.
Oh.
I have the Great Barrier
Great
Reef,
Barrier
yeah,
Reef.
that's
Very
the-
nice.
That's the money maker.
Cool.
So the second question is about diplomacy, since you talked a little bit about that soon, and that's from Nathan Sawyers.
Yes, sir.
Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Apart from declaring war, how to gain the diplomacy badges and what sort of effects do they have? Smiley face.
That's something. Don't quote me on any of what I'm going to say because I only have vague memories of this. Because as the gameplay systems get rebalanced and maybe changed, of course, sometimes the conditions here for these badges
Your recent
will
overtures have
change.
been a
But I
pleasant
think
surprise
there was one
in an unpleasant
you
world.
got for declaring war on somebody while they were already at war with somebody else, so to speak, coming to the help of the weaker empire, kind of thing. There's one for doing lots of trades, buying lots of resources from others, and I think there's one you get for declaring the surprise wars. And for example, I think the one for declaring surprise wars means that when you ransack enemy buildings, then it'll take a stronger hit to their war support, because you're a traitor and you suddenly riding in and burning down their villages and going all Conan on them, like oh, what is best in life to crush your enemies, drive them before you and hear the lamentations of their women or something like that. Then of course they're going to be terrified, and then 20 turns later they crush you because you made the mistake of tying Conan to the wheel of perpetual torment and he turned into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
I
love it.
really actually want to watch the 2 Conan movies now.
Oh yeah. Right after that,
Yeah, when I get home
you painted a picture
this
there,
weekend,
Steph.
now I have to rewatch. I haven't seen the Conan films in many years.
I've never seen.
I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger punching a camel.
Well,
And that is one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger moments in any of his movies.
camel punch.
The camel punch is just so epic.
Wow.
So I now have to rewatch those.
Get out of here, camel.
But yeah, a big beefy Schwarzenegger with long, silk smooth hair,
Oh, can't get
and
enough
then
of
punching
Arnold.
a camel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's.
I feel bad for the camel, honestly. Now that we're talking about it.
I'm pretty sure it was not a real camel.
Oh,
If
okay.
it was, then it would have had a broken jaw. I think, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And they would have also probably been in a lot of trouble for that.
Of course, yes.
Well, it was the 70s, right? I
Yeah.
don't think they really cared back then. When
Well, the producers might not have cared, but I'm pretty sure that animal rights organizations
Yep.
were
Yeah.
already a thing.
did
back
they
then.
exist back in the
and
70s?
camels. And camels.
The camel rights.
The camel
Oh, hey,
community.
the Babylonians seem mildly concerned about me, I guess, since they want a non-aggression pact. We can actually see. Oh, they've gone to Pleasant already.
Also,
Cultural proximity. We welcome the spread of our of your influence. Oh, I guess our influence is pretty strong. We should look at that. We've signed treaties.
so now chat
And
changed
we
from
lack
penguin to
information
camel.
sharing treaties. That one seems to lack an icon because there's no up or down arrow.
Empires 96 in the Twitch chat asks, in the full game, will each region be completely randomly generated, or is there a type of region database that they are drawn from? So there are rules of the world, obviously, but it's pretty much procedurally generated,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, of course, this map is pre-made, but it
Of
will
course,
be
yeah.
procedurally generated. It's very complicated, but I can say a few general words about it.
Yeah.
But quickly, the reason they've started to like us is they forward settled us here, settled on our border, and unfortunately, the people who were already living there in like small disorganized villages and stuff like that had already been under the influence of our culture and really like us. So now this region here is actually culturally becoming Joe, even though the Babylonians are the rulers here. So I guess they want to stay on good terms with us so that their people don't get angry at us, at them. And now to answer the whole question about the regions, I don't know exactly how the regions are created because procedural generation is a very complicated topic actually. But each of these regions, like depending on where it is, like how close it is to water, how high it is, like is it like this one very low to the ocean level, or is it like this one over here, like that is way further up, that's like 4 or 5 levels higher. Depending on that, it has like a moisture level, how much does it rain there, and temperature level, also depending on the position and how far north or south it is, and that determines this biome, like more fertile biome here, or I think no, not this one. This one here is like a tropical one, and then we have the more desert-like
you have an arid one up there. Yeah.
And the biome then determines the kind of terrain you get. Like in this arid biome, you get a lot of this rocky terrain and very few forests or grasslands. Whereas in the more, I'm not sure if this one is Mediterranean or temperate, but here you can see we get a relatively even spread of like forests and grasslands. And so that's how it determines how the terrain in the regions is, and that of course means if you get an actual desert region or like an Arctic region, there's going to be very few places where you can find food on the map because it's all like sterile and snow, stuff like that.
Yeah. Doodlegoop says, I'm hoping we'll see more of how the generation works in the future. I mean, if enough people are interested, I mean, we can always get somebody off the team to hop on stream and talk about it. Like, they're always willing.
If it's a topic that is raised,
absolutely,
we see it raised regularly, then that would definitely be worth putting something together, maybe even a feature focus one day or something.
Yeah,
like
it is a very cool
like
topic.
when you speak about different biomes and such, there was a feature focus a while back about how the ambient sounds vary a bunch from each region to region. Just neat little detail like that. It's maybe not like a big story about revolutionary gameplay, but just a neat little flavor detail. Somebody has actually been running around with microphones in different climates and different biomes in real life to actually
and
get that over into the game.
Right?
And it's that's on YouTube also, that video, and that one is super interesting if you're into sound design and how you basically make sounds and using in games. Then that series of feature focuses, or feature foci, I don't know how you say it in plural.
Feature foci.
Feature foci.
No, I don't know.
That sounded like Kung Fu.
Right.
But There was that one with the music, that one with the ambient sounds, and then there was that long ASMR one also where you can just have it run in your back.
What did we call it? Ambient sounds to study to, or something like that?
Something like that.
It's like an hour long of just like the world sounds
Yeah.
and ambient
The
noises.
camera
Awesome.
slowly sort of moving around the world, and you hear
Yeah.
all the different sounds.
If
of
you're
the
like
world.
studying or something and you just need something to relax you, that's a pretty cool video.
And I can say
YouTube.com/humankindgame, you can see
Yep.
all of these.
And I can testify to the fact that it's also good for falling asleep too.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I fell asleep on the couch once.
Oh yeah.
That's sort of running. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
it wasn't planned, but you know, I may have been tired already. But
Technically, feature foci is right. Is that for real?
feature foci.
Yes.
Nice.
Technically, if you go by the grammar of the language the word is loaned from, but being used inside English
Yeah.
means, you know, you should take the English grammar into account, and the English grammar, as far as how to make a plural is concerned, is probably like,
You do you.
yeah, pretty much.
Lo-fi Lucy. Oh, that has a nice ring to it. We should just like steal that title for something.
We have someone requesting more crap, convergent evolution in the chat on YouTube. I don't know.
We can spend an entire couple streams
Yeah,
on
I
that.
think-
Trust
I
us.
think that's one of the things that I actually saw people also say after the research and that was that there were very few ocean resources, and it is true we only have a couple of ocean resources. We don't have as many as some other 4X games have, but that's mostly because a lot of the stuff that's often treated as an ocean resource just doesn't get the icon here. Like if I zoom in here, we have a coral reef here. It just doesn't get an icon. It just, you know, looks really good when you zoom in.
Right. Yeah.
And we have like
But yeah,
geothermal vents under the water and stuff like that. So there's definitely resources in the ocean,
they're just
but
not
it's not
marked.
resources that you trade. It's resources you exploit for bonuses.
Right.
Respects people.
If anybody in the chat, I saw Picasso, you got some drops. If anybody else gets drops, let us know.
Yeah, it's good to hear that it actually works, because you know it's very difficult to check if it works when the timer is an hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I found some survivors, some volunteers in this ruin here. Excellent. I actually have a military now. It's one dude, or well, I guess if I zoom in, it's not one dude, but actually like
A
8
bunch of
them or so.
dudes.
I think it's 9 of them, but still, that's my entire military. This is how 4X games always go for me. Oh, I need to build up, I'll build a military later. And then the Huns come knocking.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you still you're still the Zhao, right? Yeah.
Yes, I'm still the Zhao, and we can claim our first wonder.
Is there one we can't
That's
claim,
nice.
or they're all available to us?
They're all available for us.
Nice.
So which one should we get then?
Yeah, let's leave that up to chat, I guess. We can get Hanging Gardens,
I
the
shall
Pyramids of Giza,
Look
Stonehenge,
in chat to
or
see.
the Temple of Artemis.
Yes, chat. Let us know.
Rogan, joke for you. We should build the Temple of Artemis for those sweet, sweet critical hit bonuses.
Sweet, sweet crits.
But
Yes,
you know, chat,
absolutely.
Don't take too long to decide, because somebody else might claim a wonder otherwise.
Artemis, nice.
Well, nothing on YouTube yet.
We have a couple Artemis. Yeah, Artemis, it looks like. Which is nice. For all you Hades fans out there.
There's an Artemis in YouTube also. That seems to
Here, then,
be the
Temple
one we
of
go
Artemis.
for.
And that's also nice because, you know, it has the, must be placed next to Woodland of Forest, but that's no problem because we have plenty of Woodland of Forest over here. And we
Temple
can
of
stick that
Crabtimus.
right over here.
Hades style mod for humankind in the future. Don't know how he would play it, but
Don't know how that would...
how he would make it even, but I would play it.
Hades mod for anything, honestly.
Yeah. I didn't want to
Sure.
bring that up too much, but you know, I am playing that game right now on the
It's
Switch,
awesome.
and I'm having a good time with it.
So good. On Switch? How's it play on Switch?
It plays phenomenally well on
Yeah.
the Switch. I did not expect that, but I had thought it would be that it would just play
You should
much
listen to this.
more smooth
Yeah.
on a PC or something. But no, I'm sitting there
Very nice.
on my couch with
Yeah.
my controller, and
It's It's a great one.
You know, it's fun, a lot of fun.
Endless Dungeon Hades mod.
That one has, I think somebody has already made like, after we announced Endless Dungeon, I saw somebody on Twitter like make a Photoshop of, you know, a Volta hero instead of Artemis.
Oh, right, yes, we did share that on social media. It was awesome. From Spoon in the Discord, I believe.
Let's do it.
Always making awesome stuff. It would.
Oh, no.
it-
We have
What's
new
that?
neighbors.
new neighbors.
And it's the Hittites.
Go
Hittites.
go knock on their door. Greet them.
The
they-
Hittites are not a friendly bunch.
They are angry.
Let's go.
They're not even. They may just be.
Follow me.
But hey, you got the wheel.
A proposal.
Yeah, and you know,
The wheel's
it's hard
always
to
nice
keep
to
up
shoot.
with your neighbors when they have the wheel and you don't.
Yeah, but
No.
now now the tables have turned, and you have the wheel, and they hopefully don't.
Well, we don't know if they have the wheel,
yeah, that's true.
but I do know, since you know we might want to show off battles a bit, I'm going to refuse
Your
their
teeth.
request to trade luxuries.
10.
Provoke them, huh?
I mean, you know, they're specialists in chariots. We're specialists in chariots. That's not
So
acceptable.
By the
has
way,
best
everybody on
chariots?
Twitch, so if you want to claim your drops when you've got them, just go to the drops tab on Twitch and go to your inventory. If you do get that notification in the chat, they'll be there, and that's where you can claim them once you've got them.
So I got a couple of fresh questions from the YouTube
Absolutely.
chat. One of them, because I can't remember if Brian talked about that, related to modding. So maybe someone with a better memory than I can answer. But yeah, this guy has a very long name, so I'm just gonna call him random stuff from now.
I remember that name.
Yeah, he has a very long name. But he asks, is it possible to make custom units through modding? And I honestly can't remember if Ryan answered that.
Well, he did answer, and it's a bit of a complicated question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
You
one
can
where we'll have to wait and see,
for
basically.
you know, when the modding tools first come out, you can make custom units in the sense of you can take like the warriors and give them another ability, stuff like that. Or you
But
can
it's the
change legacy.
visuals, maybe.
But the
yeah.
visuals will not be available until later, and
Yeah.
even then, you know, no promises yet, because we need to see if we can actually, you know, do that in a reasonable way that's actually user friendly. Because you've seen the battles, and you have seen how when you know, attack another unit, your unit fans out and it, like, flanks around the other unit, and there's like this complex choreography going on between the two units.
Yeah.
It's really complicated to put new units in, actually, so we really need to see if we can do that. Or if it's more like, yeah, you can make a new kind of axe that you can give your unit. Right? That might be more reasonable, so maybe it's only that. But
Mhm.
we can't really say specifics of
Not
what
yet,
we
at
will
least.
be able to
Yeah.
do in
All right. So the second question is from Timetable, and thyme is, you know, the herb or the spice. Is it an herb or a spice? Thyme?
Oh.
The stuff you put on chicken, right? When you cook it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thyme. Anyways,
Time.
I digress.
Time.
Timetable asks, how many AI personalities will the game have?
Ooh.
Yeah,
I
how
don't know
many?
what it will be at the end.
But there's
No,
a good
it's-
handful.
Like for the AI personalities, there's, you know, we did put the feature focus up today, and I think for the archetypes, you know, these general attitudes here, the cruel risk-taking extrovert, I think there's 8 categories right now,
Okay.
but of course, you know, work in progress.
Yeah,
might still
work in
change.
progress. That's important.
And on each you have like balanced or more to the one or the other side, so and you change like 3 of them. So that's already, if you think about that, it's a bunch of combinations, because you have like, you pick 3 from 8, and I can't do that one in my head. So if somebody has a calculator on hand, I guess, you know, do the binomial coefficient of 8/3, and then on those 3 each, you can go in either direction. So
Yeah.
you have 2 to the power of 3 for each set of 3 you pick.
Right.
So that's a lot of different combinations already.
It's a handful.
And then you throw in the fact that you can give them the bias, and I think you can actually give them 2 biases. And the list of biases is also pretty long, so you get even more variation. And then the strength, of course, also coming, because, like, for example, this guy here, oh yeah, he's militaries and he's pillagers, so he's probably going to ransack a lot of stuff when he goes to war with you. and he never gives up. So there should be
So there's
quite a
lot
bit of variety in the AIs.
Yeah.
a lot of flavor and variations between the opponents you will face then, or even the traits you have yourself, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's the combinations that really give it that like.
And here you see what I was
replayability.
saying earlier about, we got a lot of feedback about that Joe district, because that was my only source of science, and I just finished the Ancient Era text, which also was the last Era star I needed.
Oh,
So now we can
pick the next
enter a
culture.
new era,
yeah.
new
So
cultures.
let's quickly go over them. The Axumites, they're from the Horn of Africa region, I believe, like somewhere near where the Nubians used to be, and they were also like big trading nations. The Greeks probably don't need an introduction, the classical Greeks.
Yeah. Well, if anybody in chat didn't notice, the Greeks' art is updated from the culture card that we released way back when.
Indeed. And the Carthaginians, apart from being to be deleted, as said earlier, they were like descendants of the Phoenicians, and they controlled trade in the Mediterranean pretty much, and that's why the Romans didn't like them. And so to speak, my namesake, because it was Cato the Elder who supposedly always ended his speeches to the Roman Senate with, and anyway, I think that Carthago is to be destroyed.
Oh.
The Celts, European, northwestern European, like France, a bit into Germany culture. The Goths, I believe, came more from Eastern Europe, and they migrated south and kicked the behinds of the Romans, and eventually split up into the Ostrogoths and Visigoths, and the Visigoths eventually settled in Spain. The Huns, no introduction needed, I believe, dear Attila. The Mauryans, that's a name I noticed a lot when I was joining other streams. People didn't know who the Mauryans are, but Forex fans probably know the names Ashoka and Chandragupta. So this was the Indian kingdom that converted to Buddhism, and then built a lot of Buddhist stupas all over India. The Maya, also fairly well known. The Achaemenid Persians, that was, I think, the first really large Persian dynasty, because there's a bunch of Persian dynasties, and this was like one of the first really large ones, and they had a lot of wars with the Greeks. And of course the Romans. I also think
They probably don't need
not
introduction.
much introduction needed.
And then I see
What's the phrase in French, Etienne? Ils s'en fout? They're crazy, the Romans?
C'est
I mean,
crazy.
surely you know the asterisk code in French better than I do, because I've only seen the German version.
But we say all the roads.
all the roads lead to Rome.
Yeah, no,
I
but
think, I think everyone says
the
that.
famous,
Everyone has that idiom.
The famous asterisk code where they're always like, oh, they're crazy, the Romans.
Yeah, from the comics, Asterix. And then we could also ascend the zoo.
Or we could
if we
stay
didn't want
the
to.
Joe. That would mean we give up the new bonuses, because we can see, like, for example, the Joe bonus was
See if we have
our
any.
districts cost less stability to build. It's phrased as +2, but they cost -5, so it's actually more of a discount on. Oh, I clicked that away.
I'm getting a lot of Carthage in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, I'm getting some Celts on the YouTube one.
Celts.
A single person, Mr. Random Stuff, he would like us to go with the Huns.
The Huns.
They just want us to dominate the game.
Yeah.
Because yes, the Huns are also getting tweaks. Don't worry.
We are in a pretty good position for Carthage, though, huh?
Yeah,
like
we have a lot of coast.
There's a lot of
Right on
coastline
the coast.
that does smell like fish.
Something fishy is going on here, bro.
Sure does. Yeah.
So I'm just anything with a boat, I'll vote for it.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, so you're saying if we make it to the medieval before the stream ends, I need to pick the Norsemen?
That's not even a question. There's only one culture in the medieval era.
Yeah. You're
At least in my game.
I thought there was two cultures in the medieval era: the Norsemen and everybody they raid.
Well, yeah, okay, fine.
You don't want to
I'll
be
give
on
you
the
that
other
one.
side of that, though.
And
This
speaking of
arrangement would
Norsemen,
suit both
there's
our empires
a lady here with a Nordic name. I would guess she's Danish. Marte Therese Møller.
Ooh.
The
mean, Møller could also be
industrial
German.
era is the industrial era in this OpenDev, and no, not in this one.
No, this is the OpenDev from last December,
yeah,
so it
this-
ends
The
after
Lucy
the early
OpenDev.
modern.
Yeah.
But the early modern, the name early modern caused so much confusion for people because, you know, it's the correct term, but it's not the term most people use commonly. But anyway, one thing to show off right now, I just noticed, hey, we have they want us to open borders. We have a non-aggression pact.
Marte.
So I'm tempted to say, yes, open borders is fine. But I also noticed, hey, there's a crisis here. Because it says oppressing my people. If we look at the culture map, yes, they did convert. So the people here feel, you know, they're following our customs, you know, they're eating our food, or what's the phrase from Civ 5? They're listening to our music and wearing our blue jeans. But the rulers are Babylonians, so we can say, you know, to the Babylonians, you know, the people here, they are, you know, very much like the people in our country. So
You want
how about you
forgiveness?
give us this territory? And they actually did.
Oh.
They agreed that these
Wow.
people, that these
I would
people would be
not
happy
have
under
agreed
our
to that demand if it was me. Just
They're
saying,
like, take here. Have it.
and I have to apologize to Marte because she's actually Norwegian. She says, so I'm sorry. I assumed you were Danish. I should never make that
But
assumption.
we can
but
we can see, you know, making that demand automatically refuse the open borders. We can't be
Ah,
that cheeky.
fair.
You know, demand they hand over their stuff, and then they also say, "Hey, by the way, can we walk through your land?"
They're like, all right.
As
I
urban
wonder if
centers
I could
grow,
have asked
both
the other way around.
ideas
Mm.
and sewage
Done
are
that and then
generated at a
just
record pace.
taken their
Arts
territory.
and sciences flourish.
I mean, as the
Military
phrase thing, you're
tactics
always
and mathematical
cheeky.
equations
true.
become as coveted as physical.
Stephanie, this is a
Empires
question
struggle
for
to
you. In your
control these
opinion, this is from
intangible
Kind Silverhide. In
Some
your
might
opinion,
trouble
when should we
escalate.
link two territories as opposed to build a new city?
That very much depends on the stability. I'll show it once, you know, get a nice look at our changing city. Attaching territories costs stability, so you know, when it gets to the point where it's difficult to manage, it's probably better to build a new city. And it's also, depending on the growth you have, it might be better to build a new city.
Are we able to see the avatar drops on G2G now, or only once the game is released? So the drops should make their way into your inventory on Twitch, and then you'll be able to play with them once you link your account and play with it on when the game releases.
yeah, basically the next time also you can
Yes.
you can play the game.
Yeah.
You just gotta make sure that you know your Games Together account is linked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Silverhide, thanks. No, thank you for your question. All right. Just looking for some questions.
Jason Kamara from YouTube is just giving some props to the people who did the art for this game. He
Ooh.
said they are amazing, and I wholeheartedly agree.
I do too.
These guys, there's a really talented crew of artists sitting here with us.
They do art. They
Yeah,
they know art.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's
They're great.
They do art.
They're great. And you know what? They're all very nice too,
Yes.
which is like a bonus, you know?
Yes.
How much longer is the stream going for? So we're gonna go for about 45 minutes longer, ish, right
yeah,
now.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I'll try to, you know, hurry up a bit so maybe we can get.
Yeah,
to the
we have
medieval.
somebody, the random gentleman from YouTube asks you to conquer someone.
Oh.
So, you know,
Yeah, that's you know why I had refused the Hittites earlier, because I was thinking that we'll go to war with them. I just need to
Yeah.
and,
see. Oh, yeah, no, this is not a good one for me, I guess.
and
Oh no, that's just a bear. That's fine.
does this game have some sort of Japanese civilization? Well, there are definitely.
Of course.
Yes.
I
We have
believe the Edo Japanese culture
in early modern.
in the early modern, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the coolest name. Edo Japanese. I always like that one. I really like the art for it as well.
Yeah.
When we the culture card. What is their emblematic unit again?
The Naginata samurai.
Yes, the Naginata samurai.
That's the ones with the spear, right?
Yeah.
I think it's considered more of a halberd because it has like the really wide blade.
Yeah.
I think the spear weapon was called a yari.
Yeah. Okay.
Or yari. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know which of the syllables to emphasize.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some knowledgeable people sitting in chat who knows everything there is to know.
There's
about
But
ancient weapons in different cultures.
Yeah, but you know, a nice part of the Japanese is also that even the non-emblematic units actually are dressed with appropriate armor to look Japanese. It's not. I have this Naginata samurai in the traditional Japanese armor, and then next to him stands this arquebusier or musketman who looks like they just enlisted some European guy who happened to be in Japan. But no, they have the I don't remember the name of that hat the Ashigaru wore. You know, that wide conical one, and the appropriate armor. And we got after the first Open Dev where we had a scenario based on a battle from the Imjin War. A lot of people are commenting, "Oh, it's so nice that the Korean and the Japanese gunners actually look Korean and Japanese."
Yeah. Yeah. The neatest burrito. What accessibility options will there be generally? So that's something we're still working on. We were just chatting with Roma and William, who were chatting about humankind, and they mentioned that that's one of the things that they'll be focusing on between now and release. So I think I don't know where it was at with the Lucy Open Dev, but it's something that we're working on for sure. For sure. Just got the drops. The neatest burrito. I love that name. Burritos are neat. Burritos are very neat. There's a character in Ghost of Tsushima that wields a naginata, the halberd. That's what you said, right, Stephanie?
Yeah, it's
halberd.
kind of a halberd, I think.
And it's very cool, and it just gets me hyped for the Edo-Japanese. That's why I was saying the unit is
there you
awesome.
go.
Yeah, so cool.
So Jason Camara again on YouTube has probably, well, it's a long question, but it's a good question, I think, because it's a little bit to do with like win conditions. So how does one win through peace coexistence? Do you have to take people's lands, or is there a military alliance confederate option?
Actually, well, there's military alliance options, but those don't directly contribute to your victory, because your victory is all based on fame. Anything you do can get you fame, and at the end of the game, well, however the end of the game is caused, it could be, the turn limit is reached, or I think another option we're looking into is when somebody, researches the last technology in the tech tree, then everybody gets 10 more turns and then it ends, stuff like that. And then it checks who has the most fame. And the one who has the most fame is the winner, even if maybe they are not the most powerful at the time, because at the end they lost a big war against somebody, or your neighbors nuked you because you looked at them the wrong way. And so everything you do can get you fame. Stuff like, when I found the Great Barrier Reef here, I got 50 fame for that because I was the first one to find it. And also, for example, here, destroying units gets me fame. Researching technologies gets me fame. We can see here, I'm at 15 out of 17. When I get to 17, I'll get roughly 100 fame. The problem is when you enter a new era, these all reset to 0 out of 3, and it recalculates how much you need. And then the value you get for it slowly goes down. So if you take too long to get to these goals, they're barely worth anything. So you really, you should actually achieve your goals quickly when you set out to achieve your goals. And actually, Grim Foundations, they want to bury people under Artemis Temple as we're building it. I'm kind of against that.
What are the bonuses I am kind of against that.
Rogan's super pragmatic. No, let's see what we're getting for it.
Yeah, let's see where this goes.
I'm like, well, if we're gonna get some gold for it.
How Jing will sacrifice one population and give us more faith output for turns and make us more traditional when we endorse it.
Oh,
Just saying, are you crazy? We're not burying these people.
yeah.
We'll just stop the event and we get more progressive.
Okay.
Or we say, okay, yeah, no, the sacrifice to the gods is a good idea. But let's maybe get some goats instead of people.
Ah.
And
Alright.
then we get sacrificing, which is less food, because we're instead of eating the goats, we're sacrificing them. But our people get so pumped by the religious rituals that are
That
they're
they
eager
can-
to sign up for the military. So our naval units and the land units get cheaper,
Oh.
And also
and we get
seem
more
to-
collectivist.
remember that some religions they like to forego food, fasting. So
Right.
instead of eating the goat yourself, you just sacrifice it,
Sacrifice it.
and then you
Alright.
fast.
Well, Steph, whatever you do you here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll stop in this case.
Fair
Well,
enough.
you were against it, right?
Steph, do you usually play pragmatically like that? Like, do you try and look at the bonuses and go, okay, this is the one I need? Or do you try usually to kind of like
No,
stick with
I
your role
admit
play?
I often am more like, no, this is the one that feels right to me morally.
Yes.
But sometimes I do end up making the pragmatic choices because it's like, this is the one that feels right from a moral standpoint. But if I pick that one, I'm completely in deep problems because maybe if I pick that one, the stability goes down to 0, and then my city starts to rebel or something, and then I'm like, but I can't pick it, so I need to pick the other one. Or it's like the one where with the flood, where it's like, oh yeah, I should protect my people, but it costs 120 money, and I'm broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in those cases, you are kind of forced.
This game more than ever makes me question the like morality of my decision rather than like, what am I getting out of this?
Yeah, as opposed to when we play Horatio and you murder everybody to make Horatio more beautiful.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just like I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a lot of gold out of this, and I'm like going bankrupt, but like I can't do it. You know?
Well, that's immersion for
Whoa,
you.
Yeah.
whoa! What happened here?
Oh.
I don't know what happened here.
I think the Olmec turned into the Morians, and this is Hattusa,
Oh.
occupied by the Morians.
Mm.
There's
So
something going down over here.
There's a wall over there.
Right, and this fog of war is actual fog of war.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we
So,
trade with these guys actually? Yes, let's buy some. No wait, I can't afford it. Shame. I need more gold.
I have a couple of questions from YouTube.
Yep.
One is from Morris Michael.
Morris Michael.
Morris Michael,
Love you, man.
who is asking, is the open dev feedback helped to change some stuff before the final release? And I'm pretty sure we can say yes to that
Spoiler
one.
alert.
Like, spoiler alert. That's why we are also doing the open devs, right?
That's why the open devs are
I can
so
actually
helpful.
show an example already, like in the Stadia open dev. We got a lot of feedback about, there's not enough different religious tenets to pick, and you go through the 3 levels way too quickly, and you run out of stuff to pick. So we actually went ahead and added another level.
Oh.
And also on the 3rd and 2nd level, it used to be that 4 of these were just, you pick, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Shintoism, Hinduism, or whatever. I don't remember the order, which one were on tier 2 and which one were on tier 3.
Yeah.
And now it's actually when you get any new tier, and then you get a prompt here, a drop down where you can say, okay, actually I don't want to be polytheist anymore, I want to be Islam, or I want to be Christianity, and then you get the new look for your holy site.
Right.
Instead. And I think there's also sometimes narrative events that relate to when you've picked one of the historic religions.
Mm.
And Castrating people without their consent? No. Also, this one is actually one where the pragmatism and the moral stance line up, because we're trying to build a wonder. So telling
That's
those
ideal.
people who have been rather unkind to other people, let's phrase it that way,
Yeah,
to go and work on that temple is actually, to our benefit here.
that's the best when it just all lines up.
Yeah, and there was a second question, which is actually okay. No, actually, there's one more question just coming in. But the second question is a two-parter. One from random stuff, also on YouTube. Does this game have the Mongols? And yes.
I got a similar question about the Ottomans. Yes.
So also yes. And the follow-up to that is, are they in a playable state?
Yes.
Also yes.
The Mongols, though, admittedly, much like the Huns, because they're using the same mechanic, are getting some tweaks.
They are getting
to be
tweaks.
less
So
really
they are
extremely powerful.
excessively
It's-
strong right now.
It's those nomadic.
It's
yeah,
exactly,
cultures,
it's
yeah.
nomadic hordes that
Like
are
horde
very powerful.
units. So they're very powerful in this version.
Yep.
The question that just came in was from Jay Oulet, who asked, what effects are railroads going to have? And I don't know if that's a question we
That's
have
not
to
a
answer, but
question we can answer yet.
not yet. But
That's
it's
one
a
of the
good
surprises
question.
we're keeping. We can't tell you
Yeah.
that much about the industrial era yet, because we told you everything about the industrial now. Why would you want to check out the industrial when the game releases?
Yeah.
Or if we do have another test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big if, I don't know what the plans are.
Yeah. By the way, Mordred Viking is in the chat, so
Oh, hey
hello.
Mordred.
Hey,
Nice to see you, thank you. And Gagao as well. Hello, hello. Nice to see you guys.
I guess I could say to Mordred, well, I hope the cannons are holding. You'll probably get the pun.
Over there. Let's go.
Is that from one of his streams?
Yeah, he's been playing a mod for a game recently where he was playing as cannon dwarfs, quote unquote.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Well, since we don't actually have a what's known as a grievance against the Hittites, so we can't declare a formal war. Like, we can't say, this territory is, rightfully ours, we want it. But since people asked us to show off conquest,
yeah, there's some questions who want, like, invade someone, conquer someone, right? So
so we will become traitors. And immediately they're like, what are you talking? Let's
I've
make
waited
peace.
for this
we don't have any
moment.
beef.
Now we are.
So they didn't have a beef. Well, now they do.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't have beef with us, but we have beef with you.
Sublustrous, how often can you see modern city names in the contemporary era? I don't think we can actually talk too much about the contemporary era.
Yeah, I mean, it's
but
more
I'm
a question about the pacing of the expansion, but that's also, as William was saying earlier when he was on, like this pacing, how quickly you can expand and build. We're still working on that, so
Yeah.
we can't really answer whether or not it's common to see modern city names crop up, because of course the modern city name would only show up when you found a city in the modern era.
Right.
So it kind of depends on there being space for it.
Yeah.
But that's a balance question, and the balance is still being worked on, so we can't really
Yeah.
answer that one.
But historically, there are cities definitely that have changed names.
Yeah, I
after
was
being
about
I'm
to
sure it's
joke.
possible,
Yeah, I was about to joke
you know.
earlier when you said the Ottomans are. So are the Byzantines. So your capital can be Istanbul. Not
Yeah. Also, I think St. Petersburg have had a few different names over time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't it called Stalingrad once, or I don't know. But there are definitely cities that have.
No.
I'm
St.
a mix.
Petersburg wasn't Stalingrad. St. Petersburg was Leningrad.
Leningrad. Okay.
Leningrad.
Forgive me for mixing the two up.
Hey, I didn't even know, so.
But
There you go.
it's a thing, right?
And
certain
you can manually
certain leaders come in, take power, change your nation and change city names.
and you could, speaking of that, we can actually say, for example, if we want to change it because we changed culture, rename our capital to be Carthage.
Nice. Very
Well,
nice.
fits the theme.
St. Petersburg, Petrograd, Leningrad is what Gigao says.
Okay.
So
Gigao probably knows
Yeah,
because
that's
he's very
also
much into history.
Petrograd is being mentioned in the. So I guess I'm a
isn't-
little rusty
isn't
in my history
Petrograd
here.
Just kind of just Russian for St. Petersburg.
might be. Gigao, do you know that? Navarre 44, how does combat work in multiplayer? Do other players just have to wait for the fighting to finish, or is there a quick option?
Well, if you're taking a long time to finish your battles, then yeah, I guess the others will have to wait. But they can at least watch your battle if it's within their sight.
Yeah.
And there is actually a quick option, but didn't exactly get to show that off here because they ran away before I could actually click on it. So let's see if we can catch them.
See if you can. So, question coming in, and I believe Ryan answered that beautifully when he was on earlier. From Morris Michael, will the game support community modding from day one? And I believe the answer to that was yes.
At least that's the plan.
That's the goal,
but,
right?
But no plan ever survives encounter with the enemy, and the enemy in this case is production constraints, so it might not be on day one.
So I can also imagine that even though, like if the game releases with quite a bit of modding support, or even just limited modding support, that is all stuff that will be added to. Like that's a feature that is going to be expanded upon over time also, because the wish is that humankind should support modding wherever possible, wherever feasible, right?
Yeah. For sure.
This area here west of us is crazy.
Yeah, it seems pretty crowded.
This just changed hands again, I think.
Wow.
Also, it's a ping pong territory.
Who's green? Hittites, right?
Yeah, but you know, as I was fighting them, it briefly was brown, so Mauryan territory, I believe, if I didn't recall correctly, and now it's theirs again. But let's change that.
Let's change that, yeah.
Oh no, they actually have somebody standing on there, I think. I don't know, they just turned it into a city, so we have to actually attack them
now. Yeah.
And but do I really have to sieges
Okay,
when they have fences?
Yeah. Well, be thorough.
Just jump.
Be committed.
Yeah.
I have a fence, but I brought this catapult.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna just let it stand there.
You can never be
I gotta
too careful.
use it. And this, I have this ram. Gotta ram stuff. I can ram the fence.
Yeah.
And Noah also had a question, as in the person here in chat named Noah. Can we make multiple AI avatars in our single-player games? I'm not sure.
No, the
believe
avatar
not.
you customize is only one.
Yeah, your
because
own,
it's
right?
A profile bone.
Per account, yeah.
But,
Yeah. Let's see.
I guess since the AIs have these personality traits, I guess maybe you can select specifically which one you play against. That is possible that we'll have that as an option, but I don't know for sure. This attack was not as successful as I'd hoped, but luckily they didn't dare counterattack.
Which what units are you rocking right now?
Actually, these two are just my starting scouts still.
Oh, okay.
But this one is swordsman.
Nice. Okay.
With the nice Carthaginian sun on his massive shield.
Very cool. How heavy do you think those shields would be?
Pretty heavy, but
Like-
probably not as heavy as you think, because I think the construction was actually like pretty clever. And when you look at them, you always think like looks like it's a metal shield, but I believe it was actually just wood that was like lacquered over. or
Oh,
something.
really?
So it's not like a massive bronze
Yeah.
thing that you need to lift around, because you'd have to be really ripped to lift a bronze shield
Yeah.
that big.
Hold it up with one arm all day, like that'd be crazy.
Like even some of those replica shields.
Are
Like
very
some of them
heavy.
where it's wooden boards with metal rim and maybe some other metal like reinforcements on the front, and then painted.
Yeah.
And that's
You're like, even if I wanted to protect myself with this thing, I can't lift it up to
Just
do that.
well, the
done.
trick is just to make the shield big enough so you can just rest it on the ground and sort of
Yeah,
swing
I
swing
think
at
I
it
was
from the
gonna
back.
say, I
Yeah.
think the Roman scutum, you know, that really big rectangular one that's slightly curved. I think they might have actually like put that down and then because they had short swords, like just stabbed past it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one they were doing the turtle formation, right?
Yes,
that we
the
always see in the
famous
cartoons.
testudo.
Very
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Testudo, yeah, that's the. Yeah.
Can you name your avatar, or is it called your Steam name or username? I actually don't know.
I didn't check that one either.
Yeah.
That we'll have to come back to you on that one.
I will
Yeah.
have to confirm because that is
That's-
a really
That's a
good
good
question.
That is a
question.
good
right.
question.
Do we want here?
Yeah, you only lift the Roman shield to move. It's meant to be set on the ground. That's cool. That's
That's neat.
that's a good design choice.
Well, when they're that big, yeah, because
I mean,
they're,
it was a good design choice for the way they were fighting.
Yes.
But then imagine, right? You're on march to go to some war in a distant country, and you have to
Like, can I put
yeah,
this thing
okay,
down?
we slam this thing on our back,
Yeah.
and it's middle of the summer, and we have to walk 1,000 kilometers into the Middle East. Let's go.
That's how you get
I mean,
ripped,
you know,
though.
that- I mean, why do you think all roads lead to Rome? I mean, they built the roads
You're-
specifically so they could get their army around.
Yeah, it's got. I mean, I can't imagine what that would have been like, right?
Yeah.
Wearing that gear, marching on the other side
So
of the
hot.
known world.
You got a
to fight,
great
yeah.
tan because the sun
Yeah,
is just
and you
beaming
know,
down on you.
and then you get there, and then there's a couple of dudes sitting there. What have the Romans ever done for us except public sanitation, public education, public infrastructure, and the road network?
Damn Romans. Yeah.
Yeah,
Romanus euund domus.
always civilizing people.
Don't skip leg day. Yeah. No, they never could. Even every day was leg day when they're carrying
I
those
was about to
shields.
say for just being a Roman legionary makes every day leg day.
Yeah.
So Geulet apparently knows a bit about shields, or at least she says the scutum shield is weighing like 22 pounds.
Okay.
So that's heavy,
Like
man.
if for something you're carrying around.
Yeah, and then
constantly,
plus
that's-
all your other gear and your weapon and
Yeah.
your helmets and yeah, you have to have a
And food.
really good
Food.
pair of sandals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
full turkey dinner.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, you have a really good pair of sandals, and then you get a really bad pair of sandals in charge of Rome,
Yeah.
because you know that infamous emperor Caligula.
Yeah.
Caligula was actually apparently a nickname, and Caligula is the word for those sandals the soldiers were wearing.
Mm.
So it was actually Caligula was originally really derogatory.
Oh, okay.
Butter S is asking, is there a game difficulty setting? How does increased difficulty make for a more challenging and unique experience against the AI?
There's definitely a difficulty setting. Sadly, it was broken here in the Lucy, and they were all playing on casual. But as for the specifics of how it changes, how what the AI does, like bonuses it gets and everything, I unfortunately don't know. I used to know, but they've been working on it, balancing it, improving the AI. So what I read before is probably not correct anymore. So I will not go into the specifics. In any case, our war is over. They've reached 0 war desire, and they're quite sullen about it. So now
They're not happy.
we can tell them here this city. Oh no.
Oh, flippity flip.
Yeah, that was a small UI issue there. The city here, it's only occupied, so we can't build anything. Now we can go in here
You can
and
demand
we
it,
say,
right?
you give me that. And we still have 77 war score left. So we can say, hey, this other place down here, I think it's this one. We'll want that as well.
Mm.
And that's
We could also, on the other hand, just say, you're my vassal now.
Oh.
vassalizing.
Yeah.
That's
So I think
Vassalizing.
I'll actually just go for that option, so we don't have
Nice.
less to manage, right?
Yeah.
Just you're ours now, you're mine, but you get to build your own.
Yeah. And I think if we check the money income now, we can see here, it's plus 10 from tribute, which is fairly small, but that's because these poor guys have suffered. the Morians have come in there and just kicked them out.
Sorry, guys. Sim Donut. Did I hear that right? Did they just name a difficulty setting filthy casual? No.
No,
Just casual.
Just
just
casual.
casual, not filthy, just casual. You know, it's for when you want to relax with the game. You want to just kick back and have a casual evening.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of, you know, you didn't only cheat the game, but also yourself.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Filthy casual mod when?
That might be a mod. Right. You have filthy casual mode, and then you have uber hardcore.
The only filthy casual you get is probably when you watch Filthy Robot stream this, and he makes it look super easy.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I think he actually streamed the Lucy Open Dev for a couple of hours as well.
Oh, did he?
And given the ways I remember him breaking other 4X games, he probably completely broke it as well, but I didn't actually have time to check the streams. Let's see.
But yeah, those kind of, especially at this state, right, where everything is still in progress and under review and tweaked and all that, then it's actually quite helpful to have streams and videos of that sort where we see people who are just doing absolutely insane, snowbally, broken things with the game, right?
Yeah.
That's a good time to sort of get that sort of feedback. So you can maybe it's on a priority list already somewhere, right? But if you see that, we knew it might have kind of been an issue, but now we see that it really is an issue, maybe we should bump it up a little bit before.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the whole point of these open devs. Like, as William was saying, like, they kind of have an idea of the things that they need to improve, but then, you know, we let you guys play them and, you know, maybe you just completely like break it and we go, all right, maybe that has to be bumped up the priority list
that's
a little
definitely
bit.
I mean, the open dev, it should not be seen as a demo at all. This is for us to sort of test what the game might play like in a live sort of environment, because you can only test so and so much sort of in a closed internal environment.
Yeah.
So getting the game out there, you sort of have a feeling what it might not be, where it's at, and you get it out there, and you let people get their hands on it, and then they do amazing things, or they play with the game in ways you haven't even considered. All that is tremendously helpful.
Yeah.
So
the intention isn't for this to be like a perfect chunk of the game.
No.
It's just like a step to getting as close to that as possible by letting you play and kind of break it a little bit and let us know, like, this is what you have to do to get it to a place that it'll be very fun.
So in a way, that makes the seeing streamers do it especially useful, because when you get the traditional report, like somebody posts on the forum, oh, it's completely broken, they always have like the screenshot where they say, oh yeah, he has 1 million industry, but you have no idea how he got there.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
that is also like when you can see somebody play on stream. I mean, obviously it's a lot of time to commit to, but to say watch someone play for 4 hours, but it gives an idea, right? If somebody ends their stream with having 4 million industry, they get 1 billion gold in per turn. Okay, well then you go back and you start watching from the start to sort of see, okay, how did that happen? How did that progress? Because that would be a good idea to see if that's something you can replicate.
Yeah,
right.
Totally. So how? Oh, dark mode there.
Yeah. Excuse me.
We should, about these issues, we should also say that, of course, because as I was just saying, what happened here? As I was just saying, this was not the stable OpenDev build that we released.
It is so funny that
it is
just happened.
The things Steam tells me it's still running, but I don't have an image anymore.
Well, while we get that sorted out, then I have a few more questions.
Yeah, this is actually a dev build, so it might not have had all of the fixes. that went into the live version.
Yeah. So
I do think there were several crash issues we fixed.
Oh,
Hot
okay.
fixes during the Lucy Open Dev,
Yeah.
and this one didn't get any of those.
yeah.
So that was probably what happened here,
So that's a new one.
and I'm going to try.
All in Rust scripted. Yeah, we scripted a crash right
Perfectly
there.
scripted crash.
You
Exactly.
got us.
Random Stuff asks, and that
I
is
got it back.
related
Seems.
to also Ryan's
Not
talk
quite.
earlier on about modding. Will it be possible to make a custom civilization or culture through modding? And I believe the answer was yes with a but.
Well, we're still going to be after, probably not at the start
Yeah.
of it, but as we kind of release more and more of the modding tools post-release, that could be part of it. That's
Yeah.
another question we can pose to Ryan, and he can kind of give us a timeline.
Yeah, that would be a good question to sort of elaborate on maybe more later in a blog maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically. I think some of his question was that you can make a new culture in the sense of you can alter the gameplay,
Yes.
Right.
but we don't have the asset import yet, so
right.
you would have to use
Yeah, you
the
would-
look of other cultures.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you said, "Oh, I want to make a Sengoku Jedi scenario thing, and I want to make different clans and different daimyos," then you would just have to use all of the Japanese models that are already in game. You couldn't
Right.
make individual ones. And
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'm having real trouble getting
Yeah.
the game to actually shut down
Well.
so I can restart it.
And well, I mean, there's sort of 10 minutes left of the stream, so,
Yep.
So I guess we'll
so
just
we might.
answer some questions.
There are the
or-
questions popping in. Morris Michael asks how the combat area size. Well, how is the combat area size is calculated? I believe that's something to do with both the size of your army as well as the era. Because in the very beginning, when you just have a tribe or just
I
a few
think
scouts,
it's
then the combat areas.
mostly the size of the army.
Yeah.
The era might play into it a bit. That's probably also one of those things they've been fiddling with.
Yeah.
It's mostly the army size, and the terrain is also very important. Like if you, any area you can't reach from the deployment areas will be excluded from the battle area. So if you catch the enemy on a peninsula, they might have superior numbers, but if you catch them in a narrow peninsula or something, they can't bring those numbers to bear because they can't deploy, because all of the sea is of course not somewhere they can deploy, or
Right.
it was earlier when I was fighting the mammoth, I believe they could see that because I was on this narrow ridge. So on my end, the battlefield was actually super narrow because I couldn't get to the other parts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a little bit flexible in that regards.
Gigao, if we had the content creator drops in December, do we keep them for release? Yeah. Yes, you do. And again, we'll reiterate, this isn't the final time you'll be able to get those rewards. We'll be doing them up until release and post launch. So that's good. Is there anything you can say about how the air units work? I don't think so.
No,
Not
that's
yet,
also
I think.
something we are not talking about yet because it wouldn't be nice if there were no surprises in the game for you when you
Yeah,
actually
also
finally
that.
play it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's again, it's not a demo, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not a
There are
demo.
specific things we are testing with these open devs, so we are trying to sort of keep it sort of contained to that.
Yeah.
Jolette asks, and this is maybe a rhetorical question, do you consider 5,000 production in your capital by turn 100 broken?
Well,
Uh,
maybe not entirely broken compared to some of the other posts I've seen, but it's definitely more than intended. So
Yeah.
we are working on that.
That was what I was fishing
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've seen people do even better than that, but no, this is not the kind of number scale we're looking for. So we're
Yeah.
looking into that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, as Romain and William said, a lot of work is going into balancing, especially at this point after the Lucy Open Dev, because there are some things that were a little more overpowered than other things. So there's a lot of work going into that,
Yeah.
and it's like a pretty big job, especially with kind of like the asymmetrical nature of
Yeah.
the cultures.
Yeah, but it's
Well, it's
in
not
in
chess,
this case,
right?
It's less. I think that question was less about the like culture balance,
Yeah.
and it's more like the general pacing is off. Like
Yeah,
all
for
of
sure.
the numbers grow too quickly, and so like the game is supposed to last 300 turns, but
Yeah.
it feels like you can finish it in 100. And so we're looking into that, adjusting costs, adjusting gains, so that the flow of the game is a bit better and it doesn't feel so rushed.
Yeah.
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 That
Definitely.
in much the same sense when it comes to just combat mechanics, straight up combat in regards to stuff that might seem or feel a little bit odd in regards to like deployment or retreat or how exactly the shape of your battlefield is. That those are also things that are being tweaked big time, right? I mean, again, this Lucy Open Dev we have played today and also in December. It's a very early build where we are looking for feedback on things, and it should not at all be seen as like a final sort of representation of the game at release. That's also why we are not calling it a demo or a beta or all those things that people often associate as something that represents a game that is close to release.
Yeah. I got a question here about the contemporary era cultures. When will they be revealed? Closer to the release. We wanted to hold off on those, so
when
got
it's
some
time for them.
When it's time,
Yeah.
that's true. We got some cool stuff planned for the Humankind channels. I would like to do more streams with more people, like Doodle Goop asked for, like maybe do some streams about kind of how the world is generated. I think that those kinds of topics are really interesting. So we'll do those, and then we'll start the contemporary reveals at some point.
At some point. Yes.
So
Soon, TM. Yeah.
Soon TM, exactly.
Yeah.
so random stuff asks.
You the way you described the name, I think I know exactly which name it
Yeah,
is because I've seen that
well,
on
the
YouTube.
full name, and I will so apologize for butchering this because it's a very long name. Random stuff with Ugbuk the Shih Tzu. Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure it maybe.
I
Yeah,
knew it was that one.
But he asked, is there some sort of Indian civilization in the game?
Well, actually, yes, we have the at the beginning we saw the Harappans, which are, who are from the Indus Valley, and of course, India kind of takes its name from the Indus Valley. So they're definitely considered an Indian civilization, I'd say. The Mauryans are definitely an Indian civilization because I'm pretty sure they controlled almost all of the Indian subcontinent at their biggest extent. And in the early modern, we have the Mughals, right?
Yeah.
And they were also Indian, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
But
Some of my favorite art in the
they
game.
are
They have
Mughals
nice art.
are Indians after Persian and Islamic influence, whereas the Mauryans are Indians during the rise of Buddhism. So very different flavors
Yeah.
of large Indian empire.
And a boy in France, also on YouTube, on a completely different topic, not related to cultures. He asks, did you foresee players pushing the game so hard before Open Dev, and how much do you balance for those individuals as opposed to players with less optimized playstyles? That's a very
That's
good
a very
question,
good
but
question,
also
yes.
one that is probably hard to
It's hard to answer. I mean, I guess, speaking personally, like as opposed to the whole company, me personally, I was foreseeing that, there would be at least one person who completely breaks the game. He would find
Yeah.
that one thing we
That
overlooked.
part of the
and
question is not a surprise. That's
we
they-
definitely expected them.
Uh,
And honestly, you could say we kind of hope for people to break it because,
Well-
as
Yeah.
you were saying earlier about the streamers, it's better people break it now than they break it after.
yeah,
release.
exactly. So the question is more like, okay, they're gonna break it, but how are they gonna break it?
Yeah,
And then we release it and see how they break it.
And as for the balancing, I mean, that's really like the tightrope our designers have to walk, I guess, with the easy to learn and hard to master,
Yeah.
where it's like, yes, the good players can optimize and eke out a little more performance, but it shouldn't be a difference of, the newcomer who has never played the game before, so he's discovering stuff as he goes, ends up with like, it's 200, I have 300 industry, and he's happy, and then the pro who's put in 100 hours is like, it's turn 50 and I have 30,000 industry. Yeah, that's clearly not a gap we want.
No.
But it should be more like, okay, maybe the Pro has like 5%, 10% more industry than the other person because he optimized for it or something like that. So
Yeah.
a reasonable difference, like you can
Well, there should
improve,
be
you can,
if you really
develop
go
skills.
for the min-maxing game, you
But-
should be rewarded for it, but not so much that it's a massive detriment for the person who just
Yeah, exactly.
goes with whatever they feel like or want to just experiment and play around with flavors.
Yeah.
Like, of course, in competitive games, like the competitive multiplayer, people will probably all say, yeah, we should always take the min-maxes into account. But no, it's still a 4X game, and a lot of our players are single player, and they just want to, to chill. Hence the casual difficulty,
Yeah, yeah.
because when you want to chill, you maybe don't want to constantly fear the AI.
Yeah, you just got your first swordsman, and the turn after you have war elephants trampling your borders. So
Yeah.
That I think that happened to me once before in Humankind, and as we saw earlier, William is part of the Elephant Illuminati, so we can all remember, imagine how that went when the war elephants showed up. But yeah, it's a very narrow line we have to find there to get the right balance between accessible and fun for the pros to optimize.
So we're also hoping people who are watching this and people who will play later, that they will actually keep telling us what the game feels like. So if you're watching, if you're playing and you play for an extremely casual sort of viewpoint, then tell us how the game feels. That's just as important to us as it is to hear the detailed feedback from the min-maxers out there. Right.
Yeah.
So what time is it?
I guess we have to leave it at that, everybody.
We gotta wrap it.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. This is really, really fun. I got a question here in chat. Will there be additional streams to claim the avatar drops? Yes, absolutely. Eventually, just keep...
Yeah, eventually. We don't know when.
Yes, yeah. So just keep locked to our Twitter account, anywhere on social media. We'll also... keep on the lookout on Games Together as well. We announce things over there.
And again, in the future, there will be other ways to get these avatars than just getting them via Twitch drops. It's important to repeat.
Sure.
But those other ways are just not ready yet.
Yeah. Awesome. So everybody, this was a great couple days. It was very fun. If you haven't gotten your rewards yet over on Games Together, head over there now. If you don't have an account, sign up, and then you can go to the rewards tab. And there's a bunch of really cool stuff. We got some wallpapers, Stephanie.
Yes, we got the wallpapers from the first Open Dev.
Yep.
Really cool stuff there.
Yep.
And also, while you're there, go to the vote section of Humankind and vote for the theme of the official mod we'll do to show what the mod tools can do.
Yes, definitely.
That is sort of going to be a nice little sort of flavor demo of what we envision modding to be able to do in Humankind.
Yeah.
And we're sure people will be able to push that even further in the future. But if you're into modding and you're very much interested in modding in Humankind, go to that.
Yeah. And also, if you're a modder, send us a DM on Twitter. And it's at Humankind Game. So just let us know who you are, and we can get that conversation started.
Yeah.
And finally, before we go, head to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/humankindgames. Some of you are already there. We have a new video up right now on the Avatar AI, kind of what we touched on a little bit today, but it goes a little bit more in depth over there.
I guess modders can also post on Games Together. Say, hey, I'm a modder.
True.
We can go in there and talk also.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about all this stuff very soon. Guys, you're awesome. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you later.